Gotta know. Gotta know.
Standing up too high with nowhere to fall down to, empathy around you. Standing looking back, you heard it all before. Now losing what you didn't know you had. Fearing what you want is nearing, but you're really trying to get away from it.
Enter into a new dimension of gaming and push your PC to the extreme with uncompromised graphics performance. So compact you have to see it to believe it. The way you play will never be the same.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the XP Esports Women's League Season 5 hitting us here. My name is Blue Panda. Joining me on the mic is Proto, the man himself. Unfortunately, Cthulhu has thrown out his voice, so we'll be taking care of the camera behind the scenes today, and then we'll be joining us at a later date once he sorted himself out. But Proto, welcome to the Women's League. We're kicking things off here in Season 5, and we've had some changes in the off-season.
A lot of changes coming through. Obviously, some teams making a little bit of roster shuffles. We will see some of those shuffles coming through tonight and a few new pickups in terms of orgs as well. So interesting to see that all these teams have had a shuffle around, and we're going to see the new chemistries coming through tonight.
Well, why don't we throw them up on screen so we can have a look at just who is taking the field this season. We have 8 teams in total. Going to be gunning and fragging out here. The Wrens Quacked, Viking Army, a new name in the fold. As Quacked, obviously. Grumpy Grapes returning. Team Skyfire, having picked up a very, very solid roster. Radical Rebels, Fallen Angels, and Silix Angels. So only 2 of the teams that we had last stage remaining in their capacity with these orgs.
There is definitely some good pickups here. Obviously, I'm going to have a little bit of an inkling to lean towards Skyfire. It's just a nice thing to see finally coming from CL. They've managed to branch out into another tournament as well. It's good to see the name. But obviously, a lot of these rosters are just reworked names, still the same players that we all know and love. And here to see who can take away the Season 5 title. It's not going to be Elevate this year.
Yeah, it might be some of the remaining pieces of the Elevate roster, but no, yeah, unfortunately they did not come back this season. Obviously, changing their main roster from Australasia over towards Thailand means that they're going to shift their operations over there. Unfortunate, but it is what it is at the end of the day. But the big question is, why are these girls all here? What are they playing for? It's about the dosh. It's about the money. The prize pool is the big factor that is going to be motivating these girls here today. So why don't we see how much is on the line? It's a big chunk of change at the end of the day. First place, again, walks away with half of that $3,000 prize pool. Second place takes away $1,000. Third place gets themselves $500. And look, we know for a fact, Proto, that is a number of HSPs to keep you going.
Yes, well, just a few little snack packs there to keep me running. I know that before a cast, a snack pack always helps me perk up and get ready to go. Unfortunately, Katz doesn't know what those are, but hopefully she's learned. And with that $1,500, the first place team will definitely be able to buy themselves a few HSPs to keep them going and competing in the Women's League.
Well, yeah, look, it was such a big problem with the Skyfire roster that Katz isn't even playing today. So
No.
maybe she should learn what an HSP is. But coming into week 1 of this competition, we have selected 2 matches, which will definitely give us an indicator of how this season is going to be kicking off. So here we are, stage 1, week 1 of this double round robin competition. Up for, the first week's matches. Wrens, Silix, Quacked, Fallen Angels, Viking Army versus Radical Rebels, Grumpy Grapes versus Skyfire. Now, because it is a double round robin, we have 2 matches for each team each night, so we have a lot to play for. And not to mention that, we've got a secondary stream covering some of those matches as well.
I mean, 4 games tonight is a lot to get through, but hopefully the teams aren't going to be experiencing too much burnout going from one game, obviously, onto their next games. Obviously, the new rosters coming out, a few changes either way for some of the teams, and It's going to be big. I mean, these next few weeks, I'm super keen to see how these new rosters play in all of these games. They're all looking like super good matchups to see.
Yeah, I mean, there's still some interesting names to see coming into this. Now, unfortunately, Aussie Princess, one of the staples of the competition on Team Nocturnal last season, is not back in play. She's decided to take a step away, take a bit of a break, but there are still some big names returning. Why don't we have a look at where we're going to be heading on this mainstream here tonight? Keen to see which matches are going to be played out here, Proto. It's definitely, I mean, this is the week one. This is where you set the stage for how things are going to go. And up first, Grumpy Grapes versus Team Skyfire. Two interesting teams. Grumpy Grapes, they've only had the one roster swap coming in from last season. That's Taki being switched out for Aussie Ash. Team Skyfire, it's an amalgamation of players who are very, very well known in the Women's League competition. And one, I mean, they've been touted as somewhat of a super team.
Yeah, look, there's definitely that essence of the super team there. We've got a couple of the Elevate girls, and then we've got a couple of the other girls from, I believe it was Nocturnal. I'm not too sure the actual team they came from, but pretty good roster. I've been working closely with these girls, and I know that they are very, very well gifted in terms of Siege, obviously the game we are here playing tonight. And there's definitely some ability there on that roster, especially with the changes. Unfortunately, as we did mention, Cats isn't playing tonight. We will see the sub coming in from Coney, and we're going to see if Coney can perform for the girls tonight.
And then second match of the night, the Wrens, this newly formed. It's one of the other teams that is touted to be somewhat of a super roster. Picking up Cortari, the captain of the old Elevate roster, rounding things out with Burnabat, Sporky, Meeps, and Angry Wolf. It's a pretty powerhouse stacked team. But then you've got the Fallen Angels. Fallen as lead ticked off and Butt coming in. This is a stacked competition of talent here in week one.
Oh, look, the games for week one there, you've ultimately got our big powerhouse team sort of slugging it out in these first few weeks here to try and get these top spots early. So it's definitely going to provide us with some, I'm assuming, going to be amazing gameplay to not only cast, but everyone to enjoy at home and watch as well.
Yeah, look, step one of casting a match, though, is figuring out where we're going to be heading. What is the battlefield in place? So for match one, Grumpy Grapes versus Team Skyfire. The map ban will be popping up in a moment. Look, Proto, you're coming into a new season. This is where Chalet is in the competitive pool as well. Unfortunately, it was banned out right in the middle there. Skyfire not wanting to play that one. So we are going to be heading to, in map one of Season 5, Clubhouse of all maps.
Look, it would have been cool to see Chalet. I'm definitely interested to see how the girls on all of the teams, if we ever see a Chalet, choose to actually play it, because there's going to be strats coming from all sides of the board. There's going to be CL, there's going to be PL, there's going to be all sorts of strats coming out. But unfortunately, no Chalet tonight. We are going to be seeing a pretty standard map pick, pretty meta as well, Clubhouse, and soon to get underway there.
We'll take a bit of a fly through a visual tour of Clubhouse so you guys can remember where we're going to be hitting here in map number one. Clubhouse, it's one of the staples of comp play, Proto. You got to admit that, of all things, this is probably one of the most played maps in the competitive pool. It's stock standard. You're not going to see any crazy deviations. What are you expecting coming into this?
Look, there's definitely going to be the standard meta, and then we could also see some interesting things brought out from both of these teams, because there have been a few shifts, obviously now with Flores, I believe, being brought in sometime in the very near future, and he's in now. Oh, he's in now. So there you go. I mean, Flores straight away is going to be changing how this map is played. I mean, you've already got CC Breach now being ultimately easier to open if Maverick and Thatcher are banned, which we could see here in these map bans, but no, Jackal being taken away instead by Skyfire. So Flores is in play, and is definitely going to bring a lot of spice to a meta map pick.
Look, ironic that he's also he owns a food truck. He's a bit of a spice man himself, so definitely apt at the very least. Interesting. We see the double Spaniard ban coming out here from Skyfire. Both Jackal and Mira taken board. Thatcher removed as well. Means that you're going to have to prioritize a little bit more around the Maverick if you can. Cade will, chances are, be let through. So where do we see? What do we see taken? No, it's okay.
Cade's gone.
We see Cade taken off the board, which means, I mean, real prioritization around Maverick. You can go for those impact tricks and all the rest of it. This is interesting.
It's an interesting ban lineup, especially with Skyfire hitting that double Spaniard ban, as you said. Mira, pretty prominent on a map like Clubhouse, definitely can have some impact. We've seen her played in places like Logistics. We've seen her even bought sometimes downstairs on the bottom of that church triple wall. So a big ban, but the Cade ban obviously pairing with the Thatcher, going to make opening hatches a little bit easier. But with Maverick on the board, not something you really need to be worrying about, but he is still going to be in play here, and indeed will be being bought by Skyfire. Peepo there rocking the Maverick to start things off here. Round one, Church Arsenal on the bottom floor. The 6 pick there coming out after the 0-0 somehow. Chloe going on to the Buck.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're approaching the basement bomb site. It's been coming more and more normal for most teams, so it makes a lot of sense that we're going to the Buck. Sledge is there, great, but you just want that added security, especially with Nitro Cells in play. Aldo going to be the one to pick up the Hibana. Probably got a few of the North American Challenge League fanboys in chat at the moment watching on the Twitch stream. Some big friends, some big names that she does have, and you see her playing with them every now and then. I think the last time I ran into her, it was old Filthy out of Team X set that she was playing with on 200 ping, but the guy still frags like a champion, and I know she does as well, so you can understand why they're keen to get some games on the butt. Who needs an SSD? Come on.
SSD. Oh, the joke finally comes out. I was waiting for it. I'm going to be honest. But
it's an easy fix. It's an easy fix. Just win Women's League, use the money that you get off that, and buy one.
Exactly. Samsung 970 Evo SSD. That's all you need. 1 terabyte. You don't even need one that big. But either way, finally going to get in here to the first round. Now, we do see GG here running that Valkyrie with no IQ on the board for Skyfire. So, going to have to be wary of these Valkyrie cameras, and obviously C4s preceding the information provided by the Black Eyes here will be Grumpy Cheese running around on that Valkyrie, but a pretty standard setup it looks like here for Grumpy Grapes.
Grumpy Grapes, look, they did pull out some interesting stuff last season, so I'm interested to see how they've developed coming into this. And look, you can already see the setups, what are considered traditional. We're not seeing, that crazy SSG style roam all the way up to the second floor. They have set it up to enable some sort of roam, but you're not running the mute Mozzie, you're not playing around that misinformation. They're just going to be doing what they can. It's a traditional roam upstairs. Cheese playing with that Valkyrie, looking to set up info for those Nitro Cells. That Nitro Cell, they only have the one in this setup. But, I mean, we could see some real damage. That's early information. Someone already heading straight to Logi. These girls, they are not hesitating whatsoever coming into the first match of the season.
They definitely have some sort of fire in them. They're getting in quickly. They're getting a lot of control. Skyfire here making some good time, getting that logistics control early, trying to flush out these two roamers here from GG on the top floor. As you said, Cheese, supported by Cass inside of Cash, is looking to be pushed out here possibly by Skyfire, but a small rotate, it seems, is going to push them back towards the kitchen area, choosing to possibly leave these roamers alone for the current time being. We did see the hard breach utility there being used by the Buck to open up dirt, so they're just giving themselves some options here moving into the latter portion of this round. Obviously, Hibana is going to be going for these hatches. L here looking to open these up. Will spot the vertical holes though. No one currently manning this position inside of logistics, however, though. So Skyfire making some good time here, but with 1:30 left and 2 roamers still offside, it's going to be an interesting clear here for the Skyfire girls.
It might even be a case if they just say, look, there is offsite presence. We don't really have the time to mess around and fully clear things out. Send Serenity up, get some information, send the drones through, do what you can. Oh, just a bit of tag onto the shins of Cheese, who is just going to carry on running. Unfortunately found and shut down now by Serenity. So, limited use out of that explosive utility. They can now start march on down towards bottom main and get things covered there. And yeah, Cthulhu, he knows where it's at. Gotta go fast was definitely the call that was made. But look at the setup on that ash wall. They've opened up the ankle holes.
And now a rotate hole. Yoshi is just going to try and swing onto Serenity, but it doesn't pay off, picking herself up a double. Roma down as well as Wamai now. Not too sure what the play was there, but the Ferrari peak not paying off. Peepo going to be opening up this Moto hatch here now. 30 seconds. Chloe's going to find one on to Grumpy as well inside of dirt. Good control here for Skyfire for the execute. 30 seconds left. They need to find a couple more picks into the site now. Will be coming in through dirt towards triple box. Nova the only person close by to contest in that main hall. But Chloe definitely has this Arsenal side locked down, calling for the plant now for the player to come in from dirt. Will spot out Nova inside of Church, not going to land shots either way, but Nova taken out by Coney now on the drop in a 1v5. Cass needs to find 5 almost full health Skyfire players, and she's not... Ooh, he's going to find 1 onto L. As well
Elle goes for her own Sonic play. Got to go fast, straight into that armory doorway. Just feeds 2 frags back into the hands of Cass. She's low. Predator, this round is all but over. Look at this, the crossfire's there. They know exactly what they're doing. Peepo, the one to shut it down. Skyfire take themselves a very, very solid round to kick things off here on Clubhouse. And I mean, just the dedication, the preparation already starting to shine through in round 1 of Season 5.
They definitely did do pretty well there, ultimately collapsing onto the site. They managed to find their picks on the Romans coming back, obviously giving them so much time, sort of making them think, hey, are they actually even going to push us? And ultimately, they didn't need to, because Valkyrie ended up coming downstairs and feeding herself to Serenity. Similarly, Mute also returning back to the site. A little bit safer route picked by the Mute than Valkyrie did, unfortunately. But either way, Skyfire did really well, I think, making their way through. We will see Chloe here, 6 picking off onto the Monty, as well as Grumpy onto the Bandit. For a CC hold, they're not going to try downstairs anymore. They are going to go straight to the top floor here, and they're not going to risk losing any more rounds. But Skyfire did do really well there, sort of just closing out that round towards the end. 2 frags fed to the final player on the Malusi, but unfortunately 2 isn't 5, and the round was not found for GG going into round 2. What do you think, Panda, for CCTV? What's it looking like?
I think you've got to retire as a caster, because everyone knows golden rule of being a caster: you're not allowed to do mass on stream because it never ends well, and you've already proved that you can do mass. So retirement time is ahead of you.
Peaked.
Yeah, we've already peaked. Coming into this though, round 2. Look, CCTV is a slightly different beast. Obviously, you've got to worry about much more than just clearing out utility. You've got to approach this bomb site if you're an attacker from multiple angles. You can't just walk in the one way. I mean, it might be a little bit easier with a Monty on the board, but even still, if you're funneling in, if you're losing your gunfights, you're going to find a struggle. The easiest way is just multi-pronged approach. Get CCTV breach open. Get control of garage. Come in through con. You've got to approach it from a couple of different angles. Otherwise, you find yourself in big trouble.
Yeah, the top floor is definitely more of a Trident-like take, if you will. You do have to, as you said, have control of multiple areas before you start sort of making your way to the actual bomb site. Interesting here, we do see Yoshi with the MK14, but no 1.5 being played on this long angle. So personal preference there. It's interesting to see that it is the Hollow, but a good sight nonetheless on the rifle. Either way, as you said, we are going to be looking for that multi-pronged control here. People are obviously going to be looking to get this main breach open, which is being actively tricked, it seems, by Cass there on the Bandit, just close by to the wall. Whether or not she has an ADS supporting. No Jaeger on the board, so no ADS supporting. But Skyfire looking to open up the garage angles here will be muted off momentarily. Going to have to deal with the utility here if they want this opened up. But the way they have this garage set up, it looks like Cheese is going to be safe for the moment.
Yeah, this is also, you got to remember, the first time that we're seeing these girls play with the new Jaeger, quote unquote. Given the changes they've received, you know, the 416 is a little worse for wear. Cass finds the opener, but it's traded up immediately by Coney, playing on that suicide belt, playing on the CCTV window, trying to shut things down where she possibly can. But that means no more active Bandit trick coming into play. They can start to set themselves up to go. But hopefully, though, they've cleared it out, because otherwise, I mean, that is just an unfortunate position to have to try and deal with.
Losing your Maverick early for Skyfire is going to put them in a bit of a position. Obviously going to have to either open up the wall now with the remaining Hibana utility. We did see a lot of it on that garage wall, but he's still going to have a couple of pellets left to play with. But this is going to hinder the ability to obviously take in a con as well and get that wall open if they chose to do that. I also don't think they actually have the bottom of garage cleared out here, which is what Serenity's trying to deal with right now. But Chloe's just sort of going to send it in and try and clear out this Rafters player with the Montagna shield. Is probably going to prove to be beneficial for Skyfire here. A little bit of damage dealt to Serenity. Actually, a lot on the way up. Is also going to go down, possibly lose her life here as well if Scoops can finish things out. Elle will finish off Cheese, however. So a 3v3, 3v4 if they can pick up Serenity, and Elle on the entry is going to find 2 for herself as well as get the res off with Chloe gaining a lot of control up into the site. Connie's going to find 1 for herself, and it's looking pretty good here for Skyfire to finish things off.
Looking to funnel on a Nova work. Get the last one remaining frag grenade deep into cash. Chloe has an inkling, has an idea, has all the information, in fact, as we do see Nova work stand up. We're going to see some sort of contest. Low health bars for the most part. Chloe the healthiest. Nitro Cell tossed towards the Monty. If they'd been thrown towards default, that could have been a huge pickup to find. Now, though, Nova very much stuck. Is going to find a kill on the Serenity with that SMG level. She was low. Might even be able to find a couple more. Tiny watching that rotate towards top red. And, well, Chloe staring down this one lone Grumpy Grapes player as the timer is ticking away. Proto. Unfortunately, it's not enough. Skyfire will string together a second in a row.
They've definitely done well there, adapting to obviously losing that Maverick very early and taking Garage with the Monty. I mean, Chloe on the Monty there ultimately just caused so much chaos on the defending side. They weren't too sure what was going on. She was in sight, she had control, she had that door locked off to Cash, and there wasn't really much that GG could do there to aggress back into the site to ultimately stop that default plant. We also saw the C4 being used to try and push Monty away from the door, but ultimately all it did was just tickle Monty a little bit. Obviously shields can tank a fair hit, so unfortunately C4 didn't pick anything up there, but Skyfire I think did really well mid-round adapt there and pushing in. Grumpy Grapes unfortunately couldn't find the frags. They did manage to get one down on the garage stairs there, but couldn't quite confirm, and ultimately I think Skyfire did pretty decently getting in there and getting that bomb down.
Yeah, look, they covered their bases. There were a couple of moments where it looked like maybe Grumpy Grapes could have snuck that one away. Specifically, you know, you're looking at Scoops down towards that bottom garage position around Lounge. Might have been able to pick up a couple of frags. If they'd taken out L, I think that would have been a vastly different round. But unfortunately, for the girls on Grumpy Grapes, Skyfire, they are hitting their stride here coming into week one. And it looks like they're not done yet. Coney at the moment, 4-0. Chloe still hasn't died. They are putting together some big numbers.
Yes, well, Coney doing very well for Cats. The super sub, some would say, coming in tonight for Skyfire. Grumpy Grapes, though, looking to give another shot at this top floor site. CC Cash, we're going to see them repeat it, but no Monty being brought by Skyfire. Whether or not they're confident that they're not going to be running this site again, that could be the case. But I'm not too sure whether or not Skyfire were aware that that was the choice here for GG, but they're going to give it another go. A little bit of a change up here, some more con presence than we saw last time, I do believe, as well as the, I believe, Jaeger, yes, instead of the Wamai, but no direct extension into the garage just yet for GG. So a bit of a strat change here to try and counter the Monty, but ultimately Monty isn't being bought, and still no garage presence for GG.
Might be a late setup, but interesting that we see the castle coming through. It's not every day that you see that adaptation for a lot of teams. It's one that indicates some hesitation in those long-range gunfights, but look at that Nova playing towards rafters. But I mean, Skyfire, you've got to admire the sheer amount of coverage that these girls have in their prep phase. The drones are so crisp. They get so much information off them, and, well, they know where to prioritize that information, that utility, and already Kaz very much aware that things are kicking off. That CCTV wall already starting to be opened here. Frag grenade through could definitely upset the balance.
We did see Peepo die, actually, on this Maverick trick last time. Just before, actually, she managed to get the wall open. With Serenity on rappel, Cass will slot one and find the head of the repelling player. Wasn't playing for the Maverick this time, was just playing to find Zofia instead, and ultimately Peepo's actually not managed to get all of the wall there, so just trying to sort of distinguish which piece she has actually missed. Unfortunately, won't be able to see, so unless she's going to go for the risky breach walk here and try and get it open, but they might resort to just hard breaching it. But with Serenity down, that's a lot of frag power as well as utility off the board. Obviously, Zofia with the lifeline isn't going to be able to use that for the remainder of this round with Connie on suicide. No rotate here as well for Nova inside a garage, so if she does get pressured, I'd imagine she's going to be cleared out pretty quickly unless she can sneak away through that window. But Grumpy Grapes looking good here, already a pick on the board, and the wall not opened up, only a minute left for Skyfire to play with.
It looks like we might get some shenanigans here with those X-Kairos. One open. Is the second one going to be good enough? You would have to hope so. Oh, this could be absolutely brutal. They're trying to make it work. They're trying to make it happen. L is going to vacate. No, it's not enough. So, yeah, it must be that left-hand side where Peepo has unfortunately just not quite extended the reach far enough with the torch. And, well, the call has been made. You know what, screw it. We're just going to go straight into Garage Utility Dump towards Nova's position. White screen, frag grenade to follow up. Just going to... It landed on the shelf.
On the shelf.
No way. Nova is going to die eventually to Peepo, but I mean, that's a 1 in a million throw.
10 seconds left.
That doesn't usually happen. Connie's been allowed to weasel her way in through the window here. Elle's also going to find Grumpy. The bomb's actually going down on the double, though. The down and the confirm will be fragged out all across the board. Double for Peepo on her second. Bomb goes down. Elle does manage to get it off. Shot in the back, though. Taken out by Scoops. It's all up to Peepo in a 1v2. Does have some good positioning here inside a garage to try and clutch this out. Maverick could obviously open up a hole in the wall to try and deny the plant, but the nade instead is going to come out and force one away. Could go for the peek here. It's not going to do enough damage, and GG will be able to get the defuse. No frag onto Peepo, but still, first round on the board and a good way to answer back to Skyfire.
Yeah, I mean, that was just everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong for Skyfire, unfortunately. And, well, I mean, what, Serenity being taken out of the breach, not actually opening up the breach quite wide enough, and then having to force in. They did get some good ground. They got themselves in. They got the plant down, unfortunately. For versing up against those M590s in close quarters is never a situation you want to be involved in. And unfortunately, the two players that were remaining, ironically enough, had the M590, so it was going to be a brutal one regardless of the situation. But it's a round on the board for Grumpy Grapes. They're one away from equalizing as we head back down the basement. We start to see those changes coming through. Yoshi currently hovering around on the Vigil. They bring the Aruni this time as well, acknowledging that, yeah, the Valkyrie was great, but it really didn't do much for them.
I mean, as you've just pointed out, the Valkyrie did not do as much as they had hoped. However, going off, obviously, the droning we've seen Skyfire pulling out, that coverage that you mentioned as well, it's definitely going to hinder their roam clear to some degree, whether or not it is completely or partially. I guess we'll see in sort of the early to middle part of this round, whether or not they can actually find the Vigil of Yoshi on top floor and actually frag her out, or at least push her back towards the site. So it's a good pick here for GG to actively shut down Skyfire and their aggression, but we're going to have to see if it pays off. I mean, the Valkyrie was still good utility. Ultimately, Vigil, I think situationally is going to benefit GG more here. But Skyfire, we're going to have to see how they adapt to obviously having to deal with an invisible boy.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's also the last time they played the site, they did go for the upstairs presence, but it never felt like Skyfire was obligated to clear it out. They never actually had to go and clear things. They just sort of left it as is. Now with the Vigil on the board, you have to be a little bit more thorough, because as soon as you realize that there is an ERC in play, you have to clear out the top floor just because of how impactful a Vigil can be. That paired with the Aruni means they're going to have to take some time to clear out this utility. They're going to have to be very, very thorough in their approach. You saw that Saria gate on the kitchen hatch. They don't have a Cade. Obviously, it was banned out. They don't really want to go for the impact tricks either. So chucking that down means time and utility has to be committed to try and get into this site.
A lot of time and a lot of utility. Ultimately, some utility here being used by Serenity to try and clear out logistics. Whether or not Peepo's drone actually spotted Cass there inside of Garage, who Serenity was oh so close to finding, is still going to be residing just by the oil pit drop there to possibly play for a frag and then disappear all the way back downstairs. But that Vigil not actually playing offside at all, instead choosing to play inside of church, possibly for a little bit of information spoofing. Obviously, the ERC does propagate through the floor, so when the Vigil gadget is actually on, you can see it a floor above / below. It just depends where he's currently sitting. So could be trying to sort of just manipulate the information here that Skyfire think they have and sort of play with them there in that aspect, but they are still going to be opening things up here. The impact trick will come out. There's that 6 impacts on the board for GG. I think that is with the Malusi. No, so Malusi only 4. So they've done well to get rid of a lot of those ex-Kairos. Ultimately, the last 2 will be deployed now on the hash to open things up. One will be shot actually there by Scoops. They've done super well. Skyfire struggling to open up this kitchen hatch, and with a minute 15 left, it's looking pretty good in terms of utility for the defense that they're not going to have to worry about.
I mean, yeah, like I said, with the Saria gate, they didn't have to necessarily commit to it, but they did anyway, and it's just compounded the losses and struggle that Skyfire are now facing. Look at this roam, though. Grumpy Grapes looking to pinch in, contest onto this positioning in towards kitchen. I mean, Cheese, if we get an efficient rotate over towards this positioning, pinch down main stairs, could well and truly upset the momentum and make things incredibly hard. But you look at the time left, Proto, they have done a great job of stalling this out. Scoops is going to fall as Chloe does push down, gets that crossfire with Serenity from bottom main stairs. Well, Chloe does fall, so it's back in a 4-4 effectively. And Proto with 30 seconds left, it's all starting to kick off.
Gonna get the res here inside of Dirt. Pipo will be picking up her teammate with Serenity now looking to enter into Moto. Not going to be met immediately by any of the defense, but L is going to find Yoshi, I assume, inside of Dirt. Nova taking a little bit of damage there as well. 15 seconds. We are going to see an explosive entry into the church bomb site here. Pipo is actually already getting the bomb down. Serenity will look away at just the wrong time. Won't find the head of the mute there, but with Cheese reaggressing down the main hall, will find one, but Serenity with another and a fourth, I believe. A flawless round for Skyfire. No one dies. One does go down, but ultimately the entry from Zofia proving to be beneficial. You couldn't quite find the frag there. Serenity's done very well entering into that site. Skyfire will pick up another round to further their lead.
I mean, already proving that Serenity was such a good pickup here for the Skyfire team. Cats, unfortunately, is going to have to, sit from the sidelines, having those family commitments. But I can only imagine she's going to be absolutely stoked with what the team is pulling out here tonight. Cody, wow. All right. Toxic Observer is what it is. But look, we almost had a fuse. Yeah, almost toxic. But look, for the first time, we are going to get a tertiary bomb site here. Proto, gym bedroom on the cards. No fuse, unfortunately. But I mean, we're already starting to see what is considered the traditional setup for this bomb site.
Tertiary as it may be, I've actually noticed that Gym Bedroom has become some teams' starting pick. I've seen it a lot in a couple of the other games that I've been watching recently, and some teams have chose to start running it straight away. I'm kind of upset that we haven't seen a bar stock yet from GG. They could pull it off against Skyfire if they manage to sort of sweep the rug from out underneath them, but we are going to be seeing this top floor bomb site, and ultimately with that mirror not being played, obviously banned out, going to be a little bit harder to hold on to that bathroom, but still completely manageable, obviously, with the Aruni paired with the castle. It's going to make opening up both of these gym castles, if obviously they put Shuri Gates in these positions, a lot harder for Skyfire to achieve, but only a mute on that wall, so I'd imagine Pipo won't have any issue actually Mavericking that one open. And a big extension from GG over Cash, which is pretty normal to see in terms of this bomb site. Obviously, you see a lot of teams extending over here, but I mean, yeah, for GG right now, they're just looking to equalize going in.
I mean, the actual bomb site itself, it's incredibly reminiscent, in fact, of what we were seeing sort of, 8 to 12 months ago, and how you would hold this the castle setup, opening things up, having that long-range angle locked down. I don't know how many of these Lemai magnets we have set up for that gym area, but I can only imagine they're just going to be generating up, throw them in and around that drone hole even. Yeah, Novoic with the late opening of the footholes into the gym itself, so you can contest should you lose control of it and the plant goes down. But look at this. They are going back to basics with this bomb site, and you love to see it.
It's awesome when a team sort of just reverts back to the original hold. I mean, if we're talking OG, we've got that year one sort of hold on this bomb site would be awesome to see, but obviously impossibly feasible. Ooh, an interesting angle here from Yoshi. Punch holes onto that jacuzzi wall. There are a few members of Skyfire currently up there trying to get that wall open. Whether or not she's going to be able to find one, nope. She's going to disengage, running all the way back down there. Cool. I do believe Serenity actually spotted it out there. Could have been drastic issues there for GG if Serenity had managed to find that opening pick again. But wall has been opened. Instead, GG are going to find the opening pick. L just outside the suicide breach there is going to go down on that rappel, and Scoops is going to be able to pick up an early kill for GG. A minute 30 left. But the main wall opens pretty good leeway here for Skyfire, but GG getting that Habana off the board are definitely going to be in a better position going into the middle part of this round.
Yeah, they really aren't wasting any time. Yoshi goes straight back to it. Was contested a little bit earlier. The drone was there as well, but now no such coverage. The best they can do is read into the fact that the drone is now no longer there. They're making good ground. They get themselves in position to start this contest up. You can see just tucked into the corner, Cheese tanks the frag grenade, just holding fast for the moment. Dips, but not fast enough. Pipo collects yet another frag, and will bring the woman count back at 4-4. 53 seconds left. Look at them just funneling into the bomb site.
I'm interested that GG are reinforcing, barricading the door behind them there. It's good to cover off the tracks, but with Skyfire having so much control of the site here, I do believe we see all of the orange bodies there are actually inside of the site with bathroom control as well. Bomb's going to start going down for Peepo. Yoshi is going to be taken out by Serenity on the entry. Scoops will spot Chloe, but ultimately doesn't win the gunfight. The AK proving to be beneficial. Coney takes out Cass, and it's all up to Nova, who's removed very quickly, might I add, by Chloe, and Skyfire collapse onto the bomb site, and ultimately another round in their back pocket.
Not looking to slow down. I mean, this is almost a repeat of what we saw last stage. Elevate versus, I would want to say it was Calypso, which was Repel and Om Nom. Week 1, game 1, coming in, Elevate not pulling their punches whatsoever. They came into game and they proved that, and we're starting to see what is almost exactly the same thing coming out of Skyfire. They want to lock in first place if they can here in week 1. Even if it is only the one match, it's round differential that starts to come into play. And again, we see the Monty. Proto, the Skyfire girls are going for the throat already.
It's good to see the aggression. It really is, especially when it's creating rounds that are as entertaining as the ones we're currently seeing. But I mean, the strategy here from Skyfire is just pure hyper aggression when needed. That last 40 seconds, you just see a burst of energy. They're on the site, they're getting frags, rounds on the board, and ultimately the only round that they lost was one that ultimately could have been won again from that aggression. We saw they jumped through the window. I believe all of them made it through the window bar one into the site and started picking up kills, and GG ultimately just winning the ones and closing things out. But we could see the 5-1 split in favor of Skyfire, and as you said, they're definitely going straight for the throat. There are no bridges that cannot be crossed by Skyfire, it seems, in this first split of Clubhouse.
Well, I mean, the one round that we did see go the way of Grumpy Grape, Skyfire made some fundamental mistakes. One, Serenity lost out on that contest and that lower breach that was opened up by Peepo. 2, Peepo didn't get the CCTV wall open all the way. They fumbled that. They weren't able to get that open. They then get into the site. Yes, they clear things out. They get the plant down. But there's just no coverage to enable them to set up for the post plant. Immediately they're being contested by SAS operators, and things just start to go sideways from there. So Skyfire, they were their own worst enemies in that situation. Now coming into this, they need to change their approach. And, well, they know that there's mute jammers. They know that there is coverage. Serenity in the same place she died last time. Are we going to be able to see this contest work out a little bit better?
I mean, we're still yet to see a nade come through the breach here from Skyfire. That could completely remove Cass from the equation. Obviously proning on the floor, trying to pick up early frags, and she's been met with a couple so far from Peepo opening up this breach, whether or not that's just sort of game sense there.
Hold up. But, sorry, I'm just talking. Is that a clean breach? I think the top line, there is literally like a pixel that is still connected. Nitro Cell as well, but I think we're eerily close to the same situation here for Skyfire, that it's not the cleanest of breaches and they might not be able to get it open.
You see him, Serenity, or oh no, I think that's the
we
shelf that she can
see him.
we see. Serenity cannot quite find it. Coney is going to take a lot of damage just outside Suicide as well. But I think the presence here from the sledge is ultimately going to push Cass back into red. Indeed it will. So she's going to be able to keep her life, but momentarily will be, I'd imagine, pushed even deeper. Nova still somehow alive after the nade and the flashbang, but fully white. Chloe is going to be able to pick her up. And here we go. Here's what we needed to see last time. The wall opened up. Obviously, time not allowing it. Monty not being bought in the last sort of adaptation of this site. First smoke can to come out here for Scoops, with the breach, I'd imagine, also now being opened by Skyfire. Obviously, Peepo doing well to make short work of it. Grumpy Cass will spot the head of one, not be able to collect. So far, Skyfire have done ultimately a lot better than they did last time, opening up all of these walls and using their utility slightly better than we saw them use it last time. And it is going to come down to the execute here, but Cass evening things back out in terms of man count. The last 50 seconds here, Skyfire are going to have to explode onto the site.
4 versus 4 with 45 seconds left in the clock. Serenity with a team kill onto L. That's unfortunate. He's going to get one back to justify the action. Brings it down to a 3 versus 3. They've still got the Monty. They've still got the angles to play around with the jump out onto Suicide Belt. That's a bold play from Cheese, who will get herself back inside. They're looking for the plant, but Serenity is just on an absolute tear, looking for even more Peepo. Swings into the breach again. Cheese out onto Suicide Belt, still there. Spotted. Serenity just comes in sideways, takes the head, And it's all down to Yoshi. Does get the knock aside with the guard break animation, but it is a case of too little, too late. The plant will be secured. Only real option is to go for the rotate or the bait. Sees the backside of it. Chloe's still alive though. And Peepo slowly marching onto that top red rotation. It's going to be the swing in. Peepo locks it down and secures the 5-1 half for Skyfire. Proto, I think I know what HSP stands for. It's not what we thought. It's holy smokes, Peepo.
Oh, that was good. I was waiting to see where you went with that. No, I like it. I will be writing that down. HSP. Cats is finally going to be able to learn. Cats is going to be able to learn what that means now. But Skyfire, a super good round. I mean, obviously we saw them opening up all this utility that they didn't bring. The Monty on the hard breach, opening up that hole ultimately. I mean, Serenity unfortunately did sort of hit that TK there, but as you said, made up for it very quickly afterwards. I bet hell. Yeah, but I get killed. Yes, that is what you like to see.
Yeah, but she was baiting while spearfishing. I mean...
Yes. Ultimately paid off, though. Big 3 kills for her on the entry. People obviously with, I believe, 1 of her own, and then Chloe with 1 as well on the Monty. The nade obviously cleaning up the remains of Castle inside of the rafters there. But they are going to be starting things off downstairs. L on that Valkyrie, and no picks on the IQ coming out from GG. So an IQ-less map so far, with a lot of utility being bought by both teams now, respectively. But a 6-pick off the Buck onto the Ash. An interesting trade out here on a bottom floor bomb site.
Well, it's the first time we are seeing an Ash coming through as well. We did see the Buck in its initial iteration. But L on the Valkyrie. L is an interesting player. She will talk herself down. If you listen to what she says, she's one of the worst players in the competition. But if you actually watch her play, she is an absolute fiend when it comes to the sticks. Like, she will 100% take those aggressive gunfights and 90% of the time still win them. So it's going to be interesting seeing her unleashed a little bit now on the defense, on that Valkyrie of all things. She can put in the work.
Oh, it's good to have a fragger on a supporting role. I mean, we've seen it bring a hard breach. Now, ultimately, the hard information operator is more of a flex support type character. But as you said, I mean, she does manage to find these frags, and she does manage to play these rounds super, super well. She's ultimately won a couple even for Skyfire in terms of the frags that she has got. Impact kills, we call them, on this lovely game, Rainbow Six Siege. But GG, no roam other than Serenity is going to be alone on the top floor here for Skyfire, looking for maybe some early denial / a frag in favor of the defense. Obviously, this is their first attempt, having been a new split. 5-1 now. Only 2 rounds we could see here if they close it out early in a 7-1. But I'd imagine GG are not looking to let that happen, and could even have a 5-1 of their own to send us into OT here.
Well, speaking of hunting, Serenity is looking for double digits. I mean, it's a basement bomb site. You can see this deep roam once again. They are pitching in. They have an awareness that there is someone upstairs. Serenity making the dangerous call. The new changes to the ammo and the 416 means that she is going to have to be pretty crisp with those shots. Knows that there is the alert coming in. Cass just slowly marching on the live droning coming through. Prone behind the supplies isn't enough for Serenity, and is gunned down in the middle of Con. That is rough, but I mean, it was, look, you got to admit, it was a bold hold, to say the least.
Definitely bold, but look at this, 1:20 now. Wasted ultimately by that Roma, still gaining that top floor control we see there through the floor. Scoops only now just coming down onto the second floor, joined by one other member of GG, and finally making their way into bar. So 1:30, and they've finally got control. We'll start playing the vertical here, but with that Buck being 6'd off for the Ash, they're only going to have a few breaching pads left, and obviously what they haven't used, opening up the CC wall, etc., etc. That Valkyrie cam will be spotted out. However, the C4 isn't going to connect. Some damage through the floor will be dealt, however, though. Some bullets astray through the wood there aren't going to amount to anything huge for Skyfire just yet, with Coney looking to aggressively peek the vertical on the Maestro, the Elder in hand, the bullet hose, if you will. But 57, GG still yet to open up this hatch. Yoshi is going to be the one on that job, unless Cheese comes in to open it up sometime soon. I'd imagine that is the play, but look at the stacks here from GG inside a kitchen. It's going to come down to the wire.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, Yoshi looking for it, but is so hesitant knowing that there is a very real threat playing below. Coney going to be punished. Yoshi very much rewarded for that hesitation. Knew that there was going to be some sort of resistance, and they deal with it first. They get the hatch open, 28 seconds, so it is going to have to be a pretty aggressive funnel into the site. Might even just be a straight hot drop in. Look for the frags there. Ping's coming out, so they do have that information. But look at Chloe's sorting this out, just playing behind the shield. Has toxic canisters. One left with 12 seconds left to play. Push down main stairs is the call. Cass finds one, but the answer is back in the hands of Elf. Down to Yoshi. They're going to have to go for the hot drop. Cheese felled as well. Al is on the job. Is going to be traded out immediately, but it's Peepo. The step up, pick up the responsibility, and it's now a 1v1 effectively. Nova has to try and cover the fight. Peepo is just watching. Oh my lord, the knife! It's got... They had absolutely no right to take that one.
Peepo just swinging in. That is got to go fast, ladies and gentlemen. Sprinting
Holy smokes,
into
Peepo!
the site. The shots didn't get the kill. Sort of went, you know what? You can have this instead. Little bit of a tap on the back of the head. Thanks for coming. Diffuser not planted. The cover there from Nova. Couldn't find Peepo. Absolutely sending it like a Saturday with the boys into the bomb site, cleaning up that round for Skyfire. As you said, a round that should not have been won. Skyfire had no business picking up that round, and a 6-1 match point in favor of Skyfire.
I mean, stimulation overload is the only way to describe it. Peepo runs in, knows that there's a player playing deep in Armory, goes to the gunshots, shooting over the head of Scoops, realizes that there is a player currently in the diffuser in front of her, still able to get the knife off, and I think that comes down to the gun selection there from Novawick. Could have been a vastly different situation with that other primary, but it is what it is. Skyfire pick up that round, and I mean, Peepo well and truly cementing her spot on this team. 7-11 at the moment. 7-1-1. It's a hell of a scoreline. I mean, it's not every day that you see someone rocking a 7 KD going into what could be the last round of the game.
I mean, Peepo's been showing up tonight for Skyfire so far, and if you didn't believe it up until that round, you definitely believe it now. And obviously they're going to be going upstairs to 60 cash. But I mean, look at the deaths for Skyfire in terms of GG. I mean, 7, 6, 6, 7, 6, and then Skyfire have almost halved those deaths in respect to most of the players. L the only one with 5 deaths for Skyfire, and as you said, Peepo the only one with a single death on the board of 7.0 KD so far. I mean, Skyfire,
but look at it, the entirety of Skyfire is positive.
Yeah, all of them are positive, and it is amazing to see them doing so well in their first game here. And we're going to see if they can keep it up, obviously, all the way to the end, and if they can close out against GG in a 7-1 fashion.
We are going to see them start to march on, get this CCTV wall open. So it looks like it's going to be heading in down towards stock. Looking to get things out from below if possible. Nova watching the coverage, trying to deny any sort of Nitro Cell shenanigans coming into effect. But look at this. Grumpy Grapes are wasting no time on this clear. Nitro Cell tossed. Oh my lord, Serenity. What a way to hit double digits. I'm pretty sure all that copped was a knee. And that is enough with that Nitro Cell. And now Grumpy Grapes left with no other way to get this open unless they decide to rotate Cheese around, and at that stage it's utility that could be utilized elsewhere.
At that stage, they're just going to be pulling a Skyfire. I mean, trying to open up the remainder of the breach with the Habana pellets. But from downtown there, I did not think that C4 was actually going to kill Yoshi in any way, shape, or form, but ultimately it did. As well as Scoops now falling to, again, Serenity with a big double, definitely catching double digits in style here for Skyfire. A very early lead, 5-3, 1 minute and 30 seconds left. And an entry frag operator as well as a hard breach operator down first. Toxic Babe, I believe, is going to come out there for Skyfire. I'm not too sure what it is attempting to deny, but denial it is providing nonetheless onto the garage door there. But they're looking good here for this latter part of the round. The breach has finally been opened with a Habana, using 12 of the pellets. A huge utility usage there for GG, having to rotate that play around, ultimately losing control of Suicide now. They're going to have to pick up the pieces and try and piece together a round on the board to keep them in this first map.
Well, they still have time. They still have bodies on the board that they can utilize to equalize, but they're going to have to play coordinate. They're going to have to play off of each other. And Peepo locking things down from Rafters is going to punish Cass very, very heavily. Do we see the red team? The Shadow giving away the game. Cass just gets absolutely swung on by Serenity, who just takes control of Garage, looking for even more. Novawick going to cop a bullet or two to the shoulder. And it might all be over here for the Grumpy Grapes. 1.5 players remaining. Technically, with those toxic canisters on the board, it's going to be even harder. Cheese straight in towards Secret. Is going to be tagged up. L with that M59. He says, you're not coming through here, I'm afraid. Looking to wait for the angle. Novawick there as well. Prone on the floor. That's one. Serenity secures the flawless for Skyfire, who take it very eerily similar to Elevate in their first match of last season. 7-1.
They've done astronomically. A flawless round as well to finish things off there, might I say, from the Skyfire ladies. They've definitely shown here tonight that they're here to play. They're not here to wait around. They want to win some games and get some early points on the board. A big scoreboard there, finishing things off. Peepo didn't manage to find any more frags, but
I mean, look, still
retrospect,
7-2-1. 7-1. That is
huge.
insane. Like this scoreline. It all adds up. That's it. It's the numbers, Mason. It's the numbers. But what a round. It just insanity. The one round that Skyfire did end up losing was their own fault. They just made a couple of key mistakes. Grumpy Grapes were able to capitalize, and then from there they said, look, we've made a mistake. It's not going to happen again. They just march on through. The one round, again, it came close down to that wire. Peepo just clutching it out in round number 7 itself. My lord, that was insanity.
I still can't get over. That clutch from Peepo. She getting in, smacking Ash on the back of the head, and that was it for Skyfire. But we are going to take a small break here, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be back for the second map tonight. And what can I say? Skyfire starting things off awesomely.
We've had enough of this nonsense. We've had enough of this nonsense.
Send your podcast to the great point. Send your podcast to the great point. Hey, put you in your place, look. Leave your thoughts on the floor like Facebook. Yo, got them from great boy. Send your podcast to the great boy. Hey, put you in your place, look. Leave your thoughts on the floor like Facebook. Send your podcast to the great boy. Send your podcast to the great boy. Send your podcast to the great boy. Send your podcast to the great. Send your podcast to the great boy. Hey, put you in your place, look. Keep your thoughts on the floor like Facebook. Yo, got that from great boy. Send your podcast to the great boy. Hey, put you in your place, look. Keep your thoughts on the floor like Facebook. Yo, got that from great boy. Send your podcast to the great boy. Great boy, 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 send your podcast to the great boy. Send your podcast to the great boy. Send your podcast to the great boy. Send your podcast to the great. Send your podcast to the great boy. Send your podcast to the great.
Defenders, protect your bombs. Try attack.
Send your podcast to the great.
Drop the diffuser.
Loading you, man!
Left. 10 seconds to go. Attackers have recovered their diffuser. 5 seconds to go. Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers. Bomb located by attackers. Seconds to insert. 5 seconds to go. Attackers are moving to defuse the bomb. You can stop worrying about grenades now.
Jammer deployed. Hostiles found.
Attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped. Attackers recovered the diffuser. Attackers dropped the diffuser. Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Stop worrying about grenades now.
I'm on guys.
Oh, push it back! It's a game. Surya in place. Activating jammer.
10 seconds left before insertion. 5 seconds to go.
Jammer active.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it. Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser. Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Flashbang out. Clearing the way. Let's take a look. Drone ready. Stun grenade out.
Bomb located by attackers.
Whooping back. Hiya. Watch for the blast. Get clear.
Attackers activating. Attackers need to protect the diffuser. Position compromised.
Enter into a new dimension of creation. The power to design, animate, and edit. Cool and quiet as you create, with breathtaking graphics performance. The way you create will never be the same.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We carry on with week 1 of the XP Esports Women's League Season 5. My name is Blue Panda. Joining me back on the mic again is Proto, while Cthulhu rests his voice and works the camera behind the scenes. Proto, we just finished up the Skyfire versus Grumpy Grapes matchup. That ended 7-1. That wasn't even the most interesting thing to talk about. We had the off-stream match going for you guys in the break. Fallen Angels going at it, just tooth and nail in their matchup. They almost took it out against the Wrens on Chalet, which, I mean, look, I don't know what I'm more upset about, the fact that that map went 7-5, or the fact that they got to go Chalet, and we unfortunately picked the wrong one, but they just went, Buddha dropped 20 frags, and they still lost. This matchup could be insane.
21 actually, and 9 I believe at the end, but they did super well. There was a couple of those rounds. I mean, the C4 on the top floor, I believe 6 to equalize 6-4, and then another round on the board. They were so close to having that sort of god tier run back to at least OT. We could have seen OT, but unfortunately the Ying play downstairs. I mean, it was a good game. I'm sort of upset that we didn't get to see it firsthand, but I will definitely be going and watching that VOD back.
I mean, look, that nitro, can we just, just straight through the office door in the perfect spot to hit the two remaining players a quack. It was just some good stuff. I'm so annoyed that we picked the wrong one, but hopefully we get some top tier gameplay coming into match 2 of the night, which is going to be obviously Wrens versus Fallen Angels, who came so close to redemption there. And I mean, look, this is, this new revitalized Wrens roster. They've picked up Cortari, they've got Meeps in there, and Sporky, Burner Bear, and Angry Wolf to round things out. And then Bruniak, obviously, in as the sub, taking on Fallen as lead ticked off. And Buddha, who, like you said, 21 frags on the fly to keep the team going, marching forward, almost bringing them back from the brink of defeat. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. These are some straight-up gunners. This could be a very, very chaotic map. Obviously, the captain for, no longer captain for Wrens, former captain for Elevate, Cortari, rounding out this Wrens roster. She was nuts last season, coming up against someone like Butter, who warmed up already coming into this matchup. Honestly, I reckon this one could go OT.
Look, FA are definitely hot off the plate. Buddha is going to be ready to go. But the map bans here for this matchup, we are going to see Oregon, another meta map pick tonight here for the main. Let's have a little look around and see where these two are going to slug it out for the dub.
Oregon, it's interesting. We see the first round of bans. Chalet was taken away by Fallen Angels this time. But look, why waste time? Let's get straight into it. We'll head straight to Oregon. We saw Clubhouse already, one of the most played, like I said, maps in the competitive pool. Oregon has also sort of filled out that role as well. We are just waiting on last-minute confirmations, but we'll take the fly-through. We'll carry on, Proto. Oregon, it's a map that has seen a huge amount of play over the last, since it was incorporated back in the competitive pool. You have some competitive experience yourself. You're a bit of a coach for the Skyfire girls. What are you expecting, especially with Flores back, now available in the comp pool? Are we expecting a new dynamic Oregon?
Oregon, with obviously Flores now, as you said, it's definitely going to change competitive Siege on this map. Already being a meta map pick, and sort of everyone sort of has now had the ability to learn how to take it properly with obviously the Jaeger change. Elbow extensions have been completely ruined to some degree. Obviously, if Thatcher is on the board, it's pretty much a no-go. But even if Thatcher's banned now, we've got Flores, and so many shields can be facing this bunker door, but it doesn't matter because one little RCXD is going to run in there. All the ADSs are gone unless you can shoot it. I'd imagine we're going to probably see some mute plays inside of this 90 position instead of a smoke, purely just for the mute jammer, so that when the drone does jump over, it gets sort of muted and it doesn't blow up, and then the position is still holdable. But it is going to be interesting to see Flores brought in the map pick. We didn't actually see him. I will note that. We didn't actually see him on Clubhouse, so it's going to be interesting whether he's bought on Oregon.
I mean, the other interesting position to talk about is Attic, obviously. It's such a power hold on dorms. There's a drone hole up there, not to mention the window that you can shoot out as well. I mean, if we could start to see the rise of the likes of mute bans coming into comp play, and then that means that that position, it's not nearly as secure as it once was. You don't have to rely as heavily on the Maverick, because you can look, Maverick might be available, but we've got Flores. We can deal with it, whatever denial is there. Run a Thermite, run a Hibana, something like that, and just go for gold. So we are just waiting on the readies in chat from the girls before we throw it in. Look, Proto, coming into Oregon, number one, do you reckon we're getting a Flores? Number two, how impactful do you reckon it's going to be?
Number one, I hope. If we don't see Flores, I'll be surprised, very, very surprised. And then whether he's going to be impactful, yes, if played correctly. However, if countered correctly as well, Flores could be completely shut down in this matchup. But we're going to have to wait and see whether or not the teams are going to be game enough to bring Flores and attempt to work him into their roster, or vice versa. Are the enemy team already ready for Flores and have been practicing in scrims to either deny or even run him themselves? So it's an interesting concept. It definitely is.
Well, I mean, we know for a fact, and you'd probably be able to vouch for this, when Aruni, before Aruni and Tachanka came back into comp, teams were scrimming them, months, or almost an entire month before they were back in comp play. So it's not like they haven't been practicing, that you'd have to imagine. But I mean, look, this is a situation where it is still unfamiliar territory. You're not quite sure how it's going to fit in. It still has the AR-33, so it's not the worst gun to be running, but it's still, do we incorporate it? What do we, sacrifice to get ourselves in there? Is it something like those soft breaches, like the Zofia, like the Ash? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and we are only going to answer those once we get into the map. So teams are ready. Proto, we're going to be diving into Oregon, looking to see how things kick off. Can Fallen Angels bounce back from their unfortunate loss in that one against Quack? Can they get themselves that desperately needed victory, or could they unfortunately be caught out and knocked down 0-2? It's not Clubhouse, it's Oregon. Same, but different at the end of the day. Coming into this, Proto, it's going to be a wild ride.
Either way, 2 meta maps. We will be returning to Oregon, though. And I mean, Oregon, for this matchup, couldn't be more fitting. 2 very, very stacked rosters going up here. As you said, FA already hot off the press, ready to play, and Ren's looking to just clean things up here for a map on the board. But Thatcher banned starting things off. Will we see Flores banned here? Flores could definitely be banned. All the utility, and I mean, we could see no. So no Flores, he will still be in play. Whether or not he is bought, though, is going to be the next question here for the remainder of Oregon.
Tell us some jokes. They're having a bit of fun. Sporky. Okay, did you hear the one about the graveyard? We want to see the joke. Come on, what was the joke?
Wouldn't be everyone was dying to get in there, right?
It's so popular. People are dying to get... Okay, look, yeah, well, okay. It's not the worst one that we could have had, but... Come on, surely we get something Siege related. You got to keep it. You got to keep it on topic here. But coming in, we are going to see that Spanish duo ban once again. This side of the Fallen Angels and Vigil, the ban from Ren's.
Interesting ban. We saw some Vigil play on Clubhouse, the map, moments before we started playing Oregon. It is interesting to see him removed, a very, very strong operator on Oregon. Obviously, the impacts to run around, the ability to completely disappear, and I mean, a good operator ban nonetheless from Ren's, but an interesting one at that, especially being the team starting on the defense.
Well, at the moment, we're heading down to the basement first. We see some unusual picks. The Bandit is going to be there. No mute. Still no Flores, unfortunately. But we have the option ticked off. There we go!
Let's go!
Of course! We are going to get the 6th pick there. He's going to be making his way in. Valkyrie, no mute, no Mozzie on the board. This is going to be an interesting one. Having the Rotero drone, being able to deal with that defensive utility. It doesn't look like we are even going to get that elbow set up. yeah, at the moment, it looks like they're just going to go for the full reinforce. But if they give up this tarps area, there's a drone hole that leads straight into laundry, so they can send it round, clear things out through that rotate. This is a risky play, knowing that Flores is now in the conflict.
I mean, the shield was still bought, Qatari obviously on
10
the
seconds
alibi
remaining.
there, but it looks like it's been sort of set up inside a pillar on a more of a default sort of
5
spot
seconds to
for
go.
that shield to be sort of situated. And with the Flores, as you said, on the
Attackers are
board, it
heading
is
out to defuse a bomb.
interesting to see that mute isn't being run on the downstairs on Oregon. You can run that mute, and it can be very beneficial. But holding off on the elbow play here could cost the Wrens. Depends how Fallen Angels choose to take it. If they choose to stack into blue and play into the angles they have opened up here, here's the first drone that is going to come out. The first Flores of XPWL, ladies and gentlemen. About to go on the floor, rolling out, RCXD deployed. Flashbangs coming through as well. It's going to be, the next question, obviously, is going to be whether or not... no one's there. It's
Like,
just going to go
yeah.
off on the wall. Just wanted a test
were
drive.
They were so certain. Yeah, no, there's going to be an elbow hold. There's going to be an elbow hold. Oh, there's no elbow hold. But look, it means free real estate. They can move in. They can start to clear things out. They can send that drone in through the drone hole in towards laundry. There's a rotate there, so they can just double it back towards the wall as well. Give Lee as much room to work with as possible. But there's a lot that we didn't get to break down. Cade let through, obviously, on the side of the defense. So they have that option later on in this half. You can see the pressure now mounting. Burner falls to tick off already. The AR-33 coming into play. Flores has yet to find anything meaningful with the drones. This is a great way to kick things off here for FA.
Second drone here coming out for ticked off, trying to clear out some of this utility. There goes the pillar shield. Thanks for coming. If you also didn't know, no impact tricked, it seemed somehow, possibly from somewhere. No, or an ash charge maybe blew it up. I think might have been what happened there. But ticked off going to switch off the explosive drone onto the regular one. And it's another thing about Flores. Obviously, with those 4 explosive drones and 2 normal drones, you essentially have 6 information gathering utility devices. Angry does see the heads there, I think, through the holes made by Qatari. I don't think she realizes that people are sort of walking by on that hole there, but fortunately not going to find an early frag, as was very close to finding hers, however. But a good start here for FA. The first pick.
There's the battery.
There's the battery. Found it finally, as is going to be able to clear that out. And then there, finally, the wall is cleared out by Flores, doing big work on the drone. Booth also finds Meeps on Wrens, and 5v3 here in favour of FA, with Flores still on the board, already doing big things for the attack.
There it is. Qatari, former captain for Elevate, holding things down from Freezer, finds the first. Looking for even more, does have some help, but it's just Angry Wolf remaining. That's a second in the round. No more Flores, no more drones. Plant is being put down. It's spotted. Long range spray is good. A triple kill there for Qatari. Plant is secure. 2v2 Fallen, as this is Angry Wolf and Qatari with 35 seconds left. It's coming down to the wire here.
There's an ace on the board here for Qatari, if she can manage to pull it off. Low HP, though, and some utility now being dumped by the Zofia. Could see Angry Wolf pick up a kill of her own, but Qatari will be removed by Fallen for the remainder of this round, and the last one as well secured by the Zofia of FA, and they've done well. They really have, taking this first round here, and Flores having such a big impact already.
I mean, there was a couple of there was a couple of instances, there was a couple of mistakes that were made. There were a couple of opportunities that were let slip, but the ability to capitalize on the end, like I would have to imagine that pillar explosion was either the lifeline or the breaching round coming out, and when they had the utility there from the the Brotera drone. So maybe some miscommunications about who's clearing what at the end of the day, but they bring it back. They do get the round. Fallen coming in huge with the double to round things out at the end, shutting down Qatari, who was on a bit of a streak. And it will be the call that is made. We're not going to see the double down on base and bomb site, which some teams have opted into in the past. They're going to say, no, look, it didn't work. They had an understanding. They knew how to approach this. Let's go upstairs. Let's go for something entirely different and see what we can find out.
I mean, FA did do really well, but they're not going to bring the Flores straight back. They've retired in for the moment, and I mean, Flores could be good on this top floor bomb site, but I think it is just going to be more beneficial for the girls to continue with more of a default push here onto this attic sort of main double
10
wall
seconds
area.
remaining.
The Flores isn't necessary, obviously, with the soft floor
5 seconds
underneath
left.
the wall denial. As you said, there is a drone hole in attic to directly
Attackers
deny
have
with the
located
Rotira
and
drone
defused
just
the
there
bomb.
underneath the boxes, kindly pointed out by our observer. But I don't think that it's going to be a necessary
Well-
pick, and FA aren't going to bring it.
It's a case of drone parkour, and unfortunately, this is the position that I was like saying, yeah, you can use the Rotero drones. Cortari is locking it down from Classroom, looking for the spawn peak. But you can do some cheeky drone parkour if you're a fan of Dev Marta. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Jump it up onto the shelving units, then latch it onto the roof below where whatever denial you're bringing is going to be placed. So there is that option. But not for the moment, not in play. They're going to be relying on this IQ instead, plus as
Attackers
below
have located a bomb.
the magnets in place. This has been phenomenally read into by the Wrens. It will start to be cleared out now, though, inevitably. But for the most part, that was a brilliant read.
Hey, they have done well repositioning. We do see one play here, Sporky, close by at the top of Freezer's stairs, possibly looking to shut down. He's going to be misdroned here, actually, by FA. Ticked off May Spotter out on the second time round. Indeed, she will. The Z ping as well to confirm. However, already disappearing downstairs into the bottom of the freezer, which will allow FA to sort of cross on over. Also joining her will be Qatari now, who's going to choose a different path and opt to go up those back stairs. But with 1 minute and 45 seconds left, they haven't got any walls, as far as I know, just yet opened up. I know they were trying for the main wall. We did see that Ash downstairs sort of playing for the impact charge. Another Z ping there for Butt. They do know that one player is inside of Kitchen, and Meep's there to try and support. 130, no frags either way. Wrens looking good on the roam lockdown here, and FA are spread quite thin across the map, looking for some control wherever they can squeeze it out.
I mean, they've already done some good work. They have the breach open from walk-in. They can start to pinch in and get control of trophy as well, but it's how effectively they've droned, how effectively they've tried to deal with this offsite presence that has been rather prevalent for the Rams, and you can see it on our screen. They can't, though, and Sporky, this is exactly what I was talking about. You need to be able to deal with those players. Finds a frag onto Butt, also finds the drone as well, now positioning herself below that breach. That could be hugely detrimental. Cortari finds a second. That's ticked off the IQ, now off the board. As going to be able to capitalize on Sporky's over-aggression up towards Armory Stairs. Brings it back within one, so it's not totally impossible, but that's a good chunk of damage already taken away by the Wrens.
Very close to finishing things off here. Through the wall, close to finding Angry Wolf there, as so close to getting that second frag, but Fallen is going to have to try and aggress up wide stairs here, but with one player below. We did see through the floor there. I'm not too sure exactly who it is. It is Meeps. Downstairs could be denying the breach from underneath, as will find Angry, though, in a 3v3 to keep things even. C4 is going to come out now from Burner to try and deny. Not going to find the frag, however, onto the thermite planting. Fallen will be taken out by Qatari, though, going massive for the team right now, finding a levy of kills. Meeps as well, adding to the fray. Will find as they know the position of the thermite. The swing from Burner Bear isn't going to prove to be fruitful. A second for Lee, needs to find a third, but taken out by Meeps from behind, and Fallen Angels aren't going to be able to secure this one.
I just blown away by that spray transfer. Lee gets swung on, wins the gunfight, pushes in just straight to the head of Cortari, who was tucked into the corner. And unfortunately, you know, just the rotation was there. The Wrens were able to capitalize, bring it back, get themselves on the board. But, I mean, the Lee could have well and truly upset that.
There was definitely an ability there for Thermite to win that 1v3. Keep in mind, again, a 1v3, ladies and gentlemen, that was almost just clutched up. And I mean, I said this at the start, FA are hot off the press on the and ready to play. I mean, but already sort of fragging out in the previous matchup. And I mean, Lee looks like she's trying to add some big numbers herself. The Flores is going to come back out here, though, for FA. And another attempt at the bottom floor bomb site now from Wrens. Not opting to give the tertiary one a go just yet. They're not too keen on the idea. Instead, they want to get that bottom floor locked down and shut down, so that they can at least have a round up on Fallen Angels before they attempt to take into this tertiary bomb site. But Flores, again, could prove to cause some issues here. And with no mute insight, Mozzie is going to be the only direct counter being bought by Wrens.
But this is, I mean, it's a question of how do you prioritize here? Does Sporky just go for those initial pests, which it looks like has been set up? Or do you save them, which could have been the
10
other play?
seconds left.
Save them, deploy them as the round starts, try and deter the Rotero drones
5
rather
seconds
than
to
your
insertion.
regular run-of-the-mill info drones, and try and stop them from dealing with the
Attackers are
utility
heading out
that way.
to
But
defuse
the
a
call's
bomb.
been made. It's more a case of, oh no, there is a pest here. It's going to be a deterrent as much as anything anyway. But it's still something you could use to deal with. I mean, the utility
Defender has
clear
been
coming out of
discovered.
Fallen Angels, and Cortari, straight out of Big Tower, is going to be able to get some damage off onto Ez, but not enough to find the frag. Unfortunately, a lesion going down that early. No more goo mines generating up. It's a bit of a loss in the T5. Questionable, but look, hey, if she'd made it work, it would have been huge damage.
If it was the alibi, I could understand the cause there for the run out. Obviously, not going to be providing any late game utility, but Legion, as we all know, produces his goos as time progresses. Similarly, as the same Wamai's utility, the magnets currently running around off-site, not being deployed just yet, possibly being saved for the roam. Interesting to see that they're using all of their late generation utility operators to roam. Obviously, the Legion and the Wamai, but could pick up both very early here. The Z-Pings are going to come out, and Flores, again, going to be able to prove he has a very good kit to his advantage. The AR-33 finding one, but the flank from Sporky here could be big for Ren's. Going to find the first, sprints on down. He's going to get the second on the ticked off, and evening things back out here for Ren's. A big play off the back of Mozzie, and this looks good for Ren's.
Meeps did the legwork to enable Sporky to find those big frags, and from there they can transition. But it's still 3-3, and we're still only just entering the second half of this round. It's neck and neck for the most part. The call, it seems, has been made. Get downstairs, get that coverage. Look to hold down the fort for the most part, and Fallen just jiggling around the landing here. Almost takes out one by the knees. Lee as well looking to position themselves so they can go for this execute, but no Flores available to clear out these bandit batteries. Makes it that much harder, so they're going to have to force through the main doorways. And look at that, lines drawn in the sand. The Ren's ready and waiting to meet them. Oh, MP7 to the top of the head, finishing off as completing the task that Cortari undertook earlier in the round. And this puts Fallen Angels in a bit of a rough spot.
Definitely going to have to do some work here to try and clutch this out. I mean, they've got some utility left in terms of the lifelines. Zofia will make her way down into Pillar. She's not going to win that gunfight, though. Burnabear, while stunned, going to pick up a second on Fallen. And it's all up to Lee. Going to do a little bit of damage. Might need to hit a spray transfer here, almost finding one through the wall. A lot of damage dealt to Burnabear, but ultimately not enough to cause any fatal harm. Smokey's going to come out to cover the cross into the bomb site. I'm assuming that is going to be the attempt here. Could be saving the KD, though. Nope, he's going to send it all the way in the box. Will spot Mozzie, but no frag's going to come from it. And Sporky with 3, a big round for Ren's and a big round for Sporky on the roam, picking up the final player.
Lovely 3-piece there for the Mozzie. Unfortunate positioning, I think, coming out of the Fallen Angels. Ticked off, caught out main lobby. Weren't able to position that, any of the Roteros in a spot where they can enable the breach to come out. And, well, we do go to that somewhat tertiary bomb site for the first time here on Oregon. Meeting hall and kitchen is the call that has been made. Look, I'll put this one to you, Proto. Which one do you rate more, dining or meeting?
It is hard because both sites have the ability to be good. I would lean more on the sides of meeting. I think if I had to pick, meeting would be the one I would go to, purely because it is slightly easier to hold on to from above.
It's a general consensus from what I hear from most teams, although you get the likes of Pride and the OCL who have that very aggressive small tower hold, which makes dining a little bit more viable. But for the most part, that's not what we're going to see. We are going to see almost a quintessential setup for this bomb site. And Sporky upstairs looking to set themselves up for that vertical hold. No presence over towards
Attackers
Attic
have discovered
just
the
yet, but I
location of a
imagine
bomb.
it's probably coming in the very, very near future. No reinforcements, and this is one of those key positions that if attackers can get control of, can very much enable a push into any of the sites.
5 seconds left before
I mean,
insertion.
they still have a lot of time, and they do have 6 reinforcements left in the pool to mess with, but with nobody directly up inside of Attic just yet that I know of. There he is. Sporky is going to be finally reinforcing those walls. A bit of a late Rio there for Renz. I guess they sort of got a little bit lucky in the sense that FA weren't too quick off the gun and didn't actually even spawn inside of construction. Could have been an early pick in their favour if they'd managed to get that wall open early. But fortunately for Renz, they aren't going to be that unlucky just yet, and they will get that wall Rio'd off. But we do see here, ticked off, droning in herself upstairs. Could be supported momentarily by one of her teammates. I'd imagine Capitao could just send it here, though, with Fallen on the Repel Games window. Firebolt will be used to deter Kotari from her position. Fallen's going to walk in, spots one, isn't going to be able to do too much damage. A little bit is dealt, but no frag on the board here on the entry for FA. A missed opportunity for Fallen.
I mean, even Sporky just kept cool in the face of adversity. Was spotted here where Meeps is now. Ran towards Armory Stairs. Didn't keep going down that Armory hallway, because if she had, would have been tagged up through the wall bang. So very calm. Unfortunately, second time is not quite as lucky. But watching that Armory Stairs rotate is going to be able to find one. No repositioning available for those drones, if any were found by Sporky. Plus, we've already seen the frag potential. It has just walked straight through Attic, finds a kill through that hatch in the meeting, and they're going to start to take control of small dorms as well. Looking for more. Unfortunately, can't find it. The reload timing just wasn't the cleanest. It does mean that we see Moops pick up a kill, but the trade again. They're in the hands of, but they're just playing for the trades, playing for those angles, the crossfires, and now it's all in the hands of Angry Wolf in a 1v4.
I mean, so much control for FA in 2 minutes, may I add. Not even a minute and 50 seconds, arguably, and FA already have full top floor, Attic, kids, dorms, and ultimately the round. Fallen through the hatch is going to be able to find Angry inside of security. I mean, they just walked in. They were largely uncontested as deep inside of Attic walks up, gets two. I mean, what happened there for Renz? Was there just someone mispositioned or Moss? Oh no, I'm not sure what happened in that round, but Fallen Angels definitely did really well.
I just wanted to open up the wall a little more. Look, I mean, it's a sign of respect. You're like, that was an insane shot. You make the Moss call. There's no real accusations coming through here, but you gotta admit some of those shots were just clean, and when you get hit like that, it's a pretty brutal situation. You've got to cope with the fact that you didn't even get a chance to contest your opponent. But Fallen Angels, they've done it here, back at 2-2. We're going to be heading up to dorms once again.
Attackers
And
need to locate
I mean,
and defuse
it
as many
hasn't
bombs as they
felt
can.
like Ren's absolutely dominating this map. They have been taken a number of times where it felt like maybe they were going to lose control. I still reckon we could see OT here.
Attackers have discovered the location
Definitely
of a bomb.
possibility for OT. I mean, if we keep seeing this sort of round for round gameplay, and both of these teams sort of keeping up with each other throughout the entirety of this matchup, obviously there is going to be the stamina aspect that is going to come into effect
10
sort of
seconds remaining.
maybe after the first split for both of these teams, but both of
5
them still
seconds left.
looking raring to go, and as looking like she wants to put some big numbers on the board here for this
Attackers
game.
are
4
heading
rounds
out to
in,
defuse
already
a bomb.
6 to her name. Similarly though, Kotari on Renz doing some big things herself. I mean, they are doing super well right now, but it is round for round gameplay, so we can't really draw any conclusions for who could walk away with a half. There's easily the possibility for this to be a 3-3 half, but if the defense can lock it down, easily a 4-2. And similarly on the attack, if they can win more rounds like they've been given ultimately last round, we could see a 4-2 in the attack. It is anyone's game at the moment.
This cam could prove hugely detrimental. Kotari, look at the positioning, looking for that run out. Might just be able to find some
It's IQ
big damage.
as well.
They know that ticked off is there. If this jump out comes out cleanly, that would be huge. The run, it's going to be full send time. That's going to be one going the way of Sporky, and big damage onto ticked off. So a huge team up there. But unfortunately, not quite the result that Kotari was hoping for.
Refrag ultimately, but will find Sporky. Meeps is going to get one, but with a second onto Meeps to keep things even and interesting so far in this game. The run out there from Kotari Big damage dealt, ultimately no frags. It is kind of ironic that IQ was the one that almost got ran out on. Will spot Cortari on the cross, but the gunfight not won. The G8 might go burr, but not in that situation. Cortari landing the ultimate shot onto the head there of TikTok, and will find herself another frag. And there's been a lot of very early sort of gunfights going on in these rounds. I mean, we're still at halfway through the round, and half of the lobby is already dead. So both of these teams are just slugging it out right now for trades, and Ren's ultimately coming out on top so far. Going to find another one through the floor. Kotari just threading the needle there on the Valkyrie, and Butt will fall, leaving things up to Lee on the frag bite.
Just unbridled aggression is the only way to describe this gameplay. Lee has been spotted as well. Unfortunately, because, you know, that's how heads work, she won't be able to actually contest it. And Kotari, a bit of a long arm with the Nitro cell, not going to be able to find herself another one in this round. But Lee on the hunt, looking, swinging. It's Burner Bear to shut it down. The Wrens, for the first time this map, are going to secure the... Well, actually not the first time. They've done it already. But they could put themselves in a position for that 4-2 half.
Big possibilities. I mean, as I said, if defense continue doing really well, Exhibit A, they could be on for that 4-2. But if Fallen Angels manage to learn from their mistakes and TikTok actually whips out the wrist scanner, we could be on for a 3-3. But I mean, in terms of the split, it's going to come down to who wants it more ultimately. The points are on the table for someone to walk away with, and someone ultimately does have to walk away with them. Whoever it is just going to want it more, and FA are definitely looking for some early points. Ticked off, sixing onto that Flores on another attempt at the bottom floor bomb site. They did win it last time, so it's 1-for-1 in favor of attack defense right now, but you're going to see if the attack can take away the percentage on the wins, or will Rens be able to close it down for that elusive 4-2.
Bomb located by
I mean, they have been playing a very aggressive style of defense, which has worked. I mean, 3 of 5 rounds played so far for them, but it's still not going wholly unpunished by the Fallen Angels. They have been able to read into some of these setups. Ticked off with the Flores once again. I think, again, it's going to come down to positioning, to say at the very least. Where do we see them set up? Where do we see them look to use these Rotera drones? And Cortari playing the smoke with the FMG9 with that 1.5 times scope. We are going aggro smoke, it would seem.
If ProneWin was here right now, he'd be rather upset that the M590 isn't being bought by Qatari, but roaming on smoke, an interesting choice here for Rens, could prove to be rather beneficial. The FMG9 isn't even a bad gun, so I can't really blame Qatari. I remember back in my original days on Siege, speaking of the FMG, Qatari is going to find FA. I remember I used to run this gun religiously on smoke. Pistol FMG9 player I was. I mean, it is an awesome gun.
Can you please get off my cast? FMG9 pistol. What are you doing?
I know. I was a gamer back in the day, but here we are. FMG9 is going to prove to be a good choice for Qatari, and already looking to clear out these Mozzie pests, whether or not it was intentional or not. I'm going to put it down to complete skill there for Lee. A pat on the back, clearing out the utility for TikTok to get hers in. And minute gone. Qatari's made it back to site, and Fallen Angels still looking to get into bunker here.
Well, again, it's a case of good ground being taken early, but not taken for free at the very, very least. So now they need to start clearing things out. They need to use those drones as falls, but will push on in. Get a trade back onto Cortari. So again, player count still within 1, still easily doable here, but they've lost the Zofia and the Ash. That's a large portion of their utility clear, unfortunately, which could make things infinitely harder. There's still Banshees online, there's still that shield. No smokes to contest with, so that at least they've got that.
Device in position.
The M590 would have won that, let's be honest. It's absolute sniper rifle, but unfortunately, FMG was being bought. Will cost her in the end. I think she was actually caught with a smoke in her hand, so can't really say too much either way. But a good couple of picks to start things off for Rens. As you said, no smoke for denial here, but I'd imagine there are a couple C4s on the board. Yes, 2 in the hands of Rens, whether or not they are still available. It's a different question, but Meeps offside is probably going to be more of an issue here for FA to deal with. than they probably bargained for. One of those C4s going to come out early here for Rens, trying to deny a little bit more time. Obviously, 40 seconds, still a lot to work with here on the defense, but Angry's going to find ticked off, but will find Burner Bear, though, to at least try her best to keep things even. But with Meeps on this flank, it's not looking good for FA.
Well, Butt was the one to go huge in the last matchup for Fallen Angels. Unfortunately, she's felled there by Spork. He dropped 21 frags, like I said at the very beginning. Now Lee in the 1v3 clutch situation. Looks like Rens might just be able to secure that 4-2 half. 10 seconds left on the clock. Air jab does connect onto one, but Meeps will continue that march on down the T3 stairs. Finds the frag, gets Rens the favourable half. Unfortunate that we have not seen the cleanest of play out of the Flores. It just feels like, yes, they're incorporating it, but it doesn't seem to find any meaningful ground.
Yeah, look, Flores, in the instance he was being bought, he was definitely being used correctly to some degree. However, I don't think the positioning was quite where they needed the explosions to be. The wall opened would have been ideal, I think, for FA to capitalize off, but unfortunately they couldn't quite get the drone that deep. Obviously, with the Mozzie pest being played on that drone hole, as I said, we saw them trying to clear out these pests. You know, the Thermite, Lee sacrificing her drone there to try and get the RCXD in there. Couldn't quite get it deep enough, though, and I think that Flores could have had a better debut, but they definitely did do him a bit of justice by at least running him and giving us something. I've been dying to see Flores, and I've finally seen.
I mean, we saw it utilized quite effectively in the opening round, but really that was it. Again, ticked off, getting caught out in unfortunate positions, and then just not being in the right place to utilize that utility. By the time it was in a position where it could have achieved anything, it was too little too late. You'd lost some key players off the board, and there was nothing really to be able to translate that into a win off the back of it. So unfortunate, but it is a case of it is what it is. You're coming into a new season. He's not been played in a competitive environment yet, and I would imagine there are probably leagues running him, but in ANZ, it's still fresh territory. You're still getting used to it. You're still trying to find where you can slot him in and what you can sacrifice on the backside of it. So look, hey, it's early days. We're probably going to see a little bit more of it in the coming weeks. I think it might become a case of, do we see Zofia or Ash dropped to incorporate him? Because it feels like they're trying to cover too many bases. Like they weren't running a sort of secondary hard breach, what you see a lot of teams do on this map. They were running Ash, Zofia, then the flank denial, then the thermite, and then just whatever seemed to be fitting into that final. The Flores, the IQ, whatever was left over. So I think, yeah, it's going to take a little while, but teams should get there in the end.
Flores could definitely replace. I think if you had to pick Ash or Zofia, it would be Ash, purely because not only does Flores have a good gun, AR-33, obviously decent fire rate, 2.0, angled grip, all the good stuff that you want in a good gun. Good secondary as well, obviously the GSH, the Spetsnaz pistol. But all of his drones can ultimately use them as vertical if you still have some left over. And flashbangs. Ash lost flashbangs, Flores got them. Ultimately, a good entry player once all of the drones have been used, as well as a lot of utility being bought. So I think you're 100% right there. I think Flores will be replacing either Ash or Zofia, depending which teams prefer to run. Obviously, Ash is the favorite of some operators, but interesting concept, and I'd imagine we're going to see possibly some more Flores play here in this split, but we are going to have to get back into the game to see whether or not Flores is bought anymore.
Yeah, just waiting on some couple technical difficulties there, as we did have the pause called. 4-2, the Rens take themselves a favourable split. Do you reckon we are going to see 4-2 defender-sided halves?
Definitely some opportunity. There is 100% the ability here for FA to get these rounds on the board. You know, that we could see a complete 3-site wipe. You know, there is the ability. As I said, maybe FA run the mute Mozzie combo to shut down the Flores if he's being bought. Maybe they run different strats so that Flores can't get in. You know, stuff like that. As you said, Cade slipped through. He's still available. There are so many things that could be taken into account for this split. We could easily see a 4-2 split for the 6-6 OT and taking us into that OT. But it's going to be how the teams choose to play it and whether or not they can capitalize on mistakes made.
I mean, You gotta wonder. A team like Rans, they're very disciplined. They've got Cortari in the roster, and she is just an absolute powerhouse in the scene. I mean, what, three-time? I think it was three-time
Four-time,
champion.
isn't it? Three?
No, I think it's just three-time champion. Actually, no, I think she's undefeated champion of the XP Women's League and looking to add another title. Unfortunately, not with Elevate this time, but yeah, champs in season 1. There you go. Production has confirmed that just undisputed champion of the XP Women's League. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a much more, classical style of gameplay when it comes to the Rens. We aren't going to see anything wildly divergent until probably later on in this season. But again, it's a case of coming into this map. We saw during the break, the matchup between Quacked and Fallen Angels. Fallen Angels were down 6-3 at one point. They brought it, I think it was even 6-2 at one point. They brought it back in the defensive half, but went absolutely huge. So I've got to put a little bit more stock, I think, in the Fallen Angels defend side, because on a map like Oregon, if you can play a solid defense, this map is terrifying.
Especially if you roam correctly. But I think this is where the Vigil ban from Rens is going to be sort of their savior pick. They're going to be looking to try and shut down. Possibly they've reviewed Fallen Angels playing this game. Maybe Butt runs the Vigil. Maybe that's why it was banned. It is a good operator to ban, but I'd imagine Butt will just be roaming on that bog standard Jaeger and still be looking to pick up as many frags as she did in the first game. But Oregon is dangerous. Oregon can be fruitful, but it can also be not so kind and can remove a lot of hope. But 4-2 is going to be the hope, and we're going to see what happens.
Well, speaking of seeing what happens, we've had the confirmation a full-blown rehost is in order, so we will throw it to a minor break while we get that, so bring you back as we head into the second half of Oregon. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll see you soon.
See me with it. don't wanna see me with it.
Give me something to hold on to. I can't help how I think about you. You've moved on like I'm about to. Cause you don't really know my. Cause you don't really need my.
Hello and welcome back. We've got the rehost sorted. We are getting straight back into the game. We had some minor FPS issues. Maybe, just maybe, if they had one of those nice Intel NUC PCs, it wouldn't have been an issue. But Proto, we're getting back into the second half of Oregon here. We see Fallen Angels now heading over to the defense, which is where they were able to bring things back on Chalet. Unfortunately, yes, we've had, again, one minor issue slip through during the rehost, but it wouldn't be ANZ if we didn't have something like this happen. Going into this half, though, Proto, what do you reckon we're going to see?
Oh, look, this the second half, Flores obviously not being run. We could see a 6-pick. Nothing seems to be coming out here just for Rens. But the Lion on Qatari is an interesting pick. And Sporky as well, pairing it with the 0. So a lot of information being bought by Rens to try and lock down the roam game, obviously. But as I said, on the Jaeger, could be supported by Lee here. On the Malusi, we could see the duo, maybe even Az on the Aruni. So a lot of denial in terms of positions here being brought by Rens, trying to shut down the movement on Fallen Angels. But they're looking to possibly get some early picks on this roam, as well as the Frost being bought for any late game site pushes. So interesting lineups for both teams. Starting things off on the top floor, Fallen Angels looking to try and equalize the score first, and then see where the rest of this match can take us.
Yeah, I mean, those of you that did watch the Oceanic Challenger League playoff bracket, there was a lot of Lion played there. So obviously something has been figured out. People smarter than I have decided that, you know what, he's actually quite relevant in the competitive pool. Interesting though, we see Qatari running DMR on the Lion rather than the VO5. big ammo, obviously not a real concern. But look at the setup. We have the Frost, we have the Smoke, we have everyone looking to absolutely frag out here. Fallen Angels, they're going for something a little less conventional though.
I mean, they got the impact trick here, so pretty in meta at the moment to impact trick that wall as opposed to bandit tricking that wall. But
you know what?
I
we're
mean,
gonna impact trick this walk-in closet wall. Okay, we're going at it. That's
yes.
the call.
Let's rotate all our hard breach attic, guys. No need for the main breach. KW, thanks for coming. Wall is open though, nonetheless, for Ren's first line or possibly second. I'm not too sure. I may have missed the first one, but ED will go out there for Qatari. No one will be spotted, unfortunately, though, for her. And with this attic wall open, they are going to possibly look to get that main wall open sometime soon as well. Sporky just keeping an eye on this shield right now. The nade is going to come out from Meeps, though, forcing Ticked Off a little bit deeper into the attic. Possibly going to re-aggress up here. Second E1 deep for the attack. There's a lot of utility being dumped now into this pit position, trying to push Ticked Off away so that Meeps can possibly jump in, but they still have to get this other wall open with that bulletproof up as well. Sporky creeping up. Will be hit by the Malusi. Will spot the smoke, but the SMG on TikTok's going to find the first pick here. Qatari answering back. Interesting choice. No V301 choosing to run the DMR, but good start for Rens.
They've lost the... Oh, my lord. Ticked Off is just unwavering in her defensive pit right now. There's going to be a third contender. It's Angry Wolf. But no, decides better. But falls, brings it back to a 3-3. I think that may be a little bit of over-aggression towards Qatari. Look at that. The late reinforcement, the pullback into small dorms. They're going to keep themselves in this one just a little bit longer, make it that much harder. My lord, the aggressive swing onto the player and walk. It is absolutely obliterated. They did lose Fallen. A Frost having put all that utility down already. Not the biggest of losses. They can still carry on with the rest of this round. Proto, we still have 50 seconds left to play it. It's a 2v2.
There's so much time at the end of these rounds, and so many people already dead at the end of them. I mean, and so much utility still on the board. I'm amazed at how both of these teams are pulling off so many frags and still having so much utility to play with. Angry so close to finding the head of Ticked Off, who's already had an amazing round for the defense with the shotgun in hand. That's the second and third shot she's managed to somehow miss on Thermite, unfortunately. Angry Wolf will still be raring to go, will find the frag on the cross, but the Frost Mat finds it. It's all up to Qatari with the DMR. 12 seconds, needs to find the frag, will possibly get the call that least rotated here. With 7 seconds left, she's going to have to aggress, will retrieve the diffuser, and now look to push for the frag, but the Malusi device slowing down her push, and it's 0-0. Not going to find the frag, the bomb's not going to go down, and FA going to find a round for themselves.
Just plays it, kill, calm, and collected. Don't need to over-aggress. The overlay had it a bit wrong. There was no defuse that came in. It was a big clutch on the clock there, but Rens, they do unfortunately miss out. And, well, Fallen Angels, they keep things live in their defensive half, which is where we've seen them shine. We talked about it watching that map during the break. They were a real powerhouse. Unfortunately, Butt going down early wasn't able to contribute in a meaningful way in that round, but Ticked Off with the one woman army hold towards Pit. Just the only way to describe it. Locked things down, wasted time, made it so incredibly impossible for them to actually get control of the second floor. And I would have to say, I mean, Ticked Off single-handedly kept that round alive for Fallen Angels.
Especially with the toxic canisters being used. I mean, smoke there to try and cross, instantly smoked off. Pushed up again, smoked off again. I mean, she did do really well, wasting the time there of Angry, and ultimately, let's be honest, winning the round, providing Fallen with the ability to just hold on for that extra amount of time, albeit 3 seconds, still paid off and gets them around on the board to possibly equalize 4-3 in, obviously, Ren's favor, still on the 4-2 split, but first round on their defensive half, and FA are going to put one up on the board for themselves with an elbow extension that we haven't seen so far in this matchup yet, and no Flores on the board, so it's going to be interesting how they clear it. Qatari, though, on the cheese beard, looking to possibly pick up some kills.
Not only the cheese beard, but we've gone from DMR to DMR as well. So, look, maybe that is what Qatari is looking to practice up here, but Sporky, again, already in, aggressively pushing through Shower, has support in the form of Meeps. They're looking to get that freezer control, maybe even start some of these hatches up as well, but it's a different approach that we are seeing out of the Wrens on their attack. Fallen Angels almost exclusively big tower stairs and con when they approach this bomb site. So Wrens may have cracked the code.
Oh, I mean, they've definitely seemed to have completely negated this roam so far by just simply ignoring it. I mean, they haven't really gone over towards tower. They're looking to possibly just go for main stairs freezer, but with Lee close by on the bottom of the main stairs, I believe on top of the washing machine, could pick up Kotari here on the swing. She's looking to play for some information with the BB shield. I'd imagine Mute does see the shield picking around. Indeed, she will. The shots will come out. Lee's going to find one. Shotgun to finish. No refrag here, though, for Wrens to come out. No one close by enough to find that kill, but another one falling to Fallen, funnily enough, inside of stage in meeting. That is also Diffuser now in hands of Fallen Angels, but also adding to the frag fest, finds one of her own. But now with the double swing coming into meeting, Burner Bear, joined by Sporky, need to find Fallen. She's going to hear something, not too sure exactly where it is, but with the thermites on the hatch still remnants.
Yeah, I was going to say, why didn't they just pop the exothermic? Well, the Angry Wolf's dead.
But finally, we'll open up this hatch here and going to see what Fallen can possibly do to find these last 2 kills. But I think they're just going to opt to walk down main stairs and play for their fights.
Bit of a bait. They look to push down Laundry, but I mean, they've just given an avenue for Fallen to drop down that hatch should the call be made, should she need to go back and reinforce the team. But this shield, I mean, they've got absolutely no way to deal with it unless they commit the X-Kairos. They've got Toxic Canisters ticked off as well, holding things down. We've seen just what she can do in that situation. And I think at this stage, yeah, Sporky is just going to sit there, stare at down as well. The clock is running away from them. Both of them stacked up on the double door. They're healthy. They could win this on gunfights alone, but it's a 2 versus 5.
I mean, look at the HP starting things off. Sporky finds ticked off, and now the rest of the members of FA here are all low. It's starting to all fall apart. Burner Bear finds Fallen on the entry now. Sporky needs to find some kills and support her teammate inside of Freezer. She gets another on the 180. She hears smoke close, won't hit the shot though. No, she will. Sporky gonna clean things up, and from above on the hatch, as he's gonna fall, could get picked up. No, the double to finish things off, and Fallen Angels. It shouldn't have been as close as it was. But it came down
As
to
just 360 dropped the hatch.
360, put it in a phase montage. That is your submission to the phase 5. As ultimately styling. Style points have been awarded. I will agree.
I can't say whether that was intentional or not, but damn, it looked cool. It looked cool as hell. Yeah, well, it's cool, but look, hey, a 360 hatch drop into the round secure, but that's no reason, despite the round going the way of Fallen Angels, Sporky almost single-handedly stole that away.
I mean, Sporky on the entry there looked dangerous.
I mean,
inside
one
of Freezer,
of the few people to contest a close combat M590 and win that
and
gunfight.
win. Yeah, win. I mean, how? How did she come out on top in that gunfight? I am lost for words. I really don't know how she pulled that off, but she still did and almost clutched the round for Rams, but unfortunately didn't quite find as there. Even if dropping the hatch was a mistake, she still managed to find the frag and equalize 4-4. They finally got themselves back up into fighting form in terms of the round count. So no one on top, no one underneath. There is all but equal now on the scoreboard here. And with an extension upstairs, they're going to be trying to attempt to hold on to not meeting, but dining instead. An interesting selection of tertiary side.
Yeah, again, it's a case of who prefers what. Personally, I do like a little bit of castle setup over towards small office. It's just, I mean, even you can play around the mute, play around the misinformation. I've seen a couple of teams do it rather effectively, but Fallen playing over towards tier 3, or T3, the big tower itself. There's players outside. This is, unfortunate, I think, that she decided to chase a drone. She hadn't been spotted out. She could have held that angle for a little bit longer and maybe caught someone on the rappel, but the reposition could be just as devastating.
I mean, especially with Sporky now rappelling it above. The Nitro Cell could have come out there from Fallen, but instead she's choosing to play a little bit snaky here, trying to find Sporky. But if she had stayed, probably wouldn't have been a good idea for the Belusi, who's wasted a lot of time already and hasn't actually really had to get into a single gunfight, not even shoot a drone just yet. So Fallen doing pretty well locking things down on that roam. Ultimately will fall back downstairs and look to hold on to her life a little bit longer, but still play relatively close to maybe pick up a kill onto anyone pushing into tower. Will be spotted out here. No, will not be spotted out here by Angry Wolf. Misdroned by the Thermite. Could come back to haunt Rens in the middle part of this round, especially with Kotari now entering into tower.
I think they have an idea. Kotari very, very wary of someone maybe pushing up from the basement. I don't know whether it was effective caught on drone, audio cues, what. They know that there is someone downstairs. They may not know the perfect positioning, but they know enough that they need to be wary of it. And for the moment, no one willing to over-aggress. Probably the most passive round we have seen out of both these teams. 1 minute left on the clock, and still no damage done. A lot of utility cleared, a lot of drones off the board for the side of the Wrens, but still no direct gunfights.
I mean, even just time. 1:50, well, 2 minutes now gone. Fallen will finally fall, but Boot straight back with one of her own on to Bernabear. So we see them making attempts now to take these fights. I mean, Butt's just aggressing straight into small tower, picks up a double. See you later, Meeps. Thanks for coming. Butt will collect on to the, I believe, Ash there on the stairs. And with not too long left, 26 seconds, Sporky's going to have another frag-filled round if they want to clutch this one out to put Rens back on top, or if they could walk away with it here, starting things off indeed onto Butt. Will find one, 3v3 now. They need to try and get into the bomb site and make themselves known. Will spot that bulletproof and get rid of it very promptly. Very weary of showers. No one is going to be inside. However, Kotari will find Az. Ticked off. Low HP. Will spot the knee of the planter. Diffuser doesn't go down. Kotari onto ticked off to finish things off. Lee will get Sporky, but at the end, it doesn't matter.
Ticked off single-handedly again. Pulled that back from the ring. Was not quite confident with the angle that was presented. Just the tap fire away was enough to drop the player on the defuse. And Fallen Angels, this is what I was going to talk about earlier. For the first time, this map will get themselves the round lead, pushing themselves into the antithesis of what they experienced last map. Last map, they were trailing. They had to bring it back to that final round of regulation. Now, they themselves could be the ones to push from that point, look to close this map out and take a victory here in the week 1 playdate. But we're not there yet. We have seen some competent play, and Bernabear is going to bring something a little bit different into the table.
Maybe not. Straight back
never mind.
onto the Havana.
I look away for a second, and it's gone.
No Carly, no play from Carly, but we will see Havana. Surprise, surprise, Havana is going to be bought by Bernabear. For anybody interested, by the way, the Quacked Skyfire game is finished. Would you like to know the score, Blue Panda?
It was a little bit nutty. I would imagine it's slightly closer than the Skyfire's first match, but I think it was still Skyfire winning.
You would be incorrect, unfortunately.
Ooh.
3-7 in favour of Quacked. So a very interesting turn of events, especially after the first game. Yes, the observer agrees. Not what I was expecting. 7-1.
Well, that does mean Quacked walk away with a 2-0 tonight.
Yes, and ultimately, if no one else does a very similar job, he's going to secure first place, I'd imagine. But could still see a double victory. But we are going to have to see how these teams play. Kotari going to go down very early to Butt. Rens getting a little bit sloppy, I think, on this droning, letting themselves be taken out relatively scot-free.
But she was a huge part of why Fallen Angels were able to bring it back in that last round. Poor Butt playing a dangerous game. Shoots out the Argus cam. Is going to continue to push on up the stairs. Sporky playing very passively. Just swings. And, well, unfortunately for Butt, takes her out. And yeah, sad ASD. The aim is the one to blame here in the situation. But again, a bit of time wasted. They lose Kotari as well. So not like Butt hasn't had an impact already.
she's done well picking off Qatari. I mean, a lot of fragging potential. Obviously, the IQ as well. Not going to be able to spot out any more gadgets. However, not too many to spot out. Possibly only playing it for the Org. Maybe it's like Qatari's favorite gun. But either way, no more IQ. First Toxic Babe here for ticked off. ADSs will be starting to be burned now by the Ash. Possibly for the smoke from Thermite. Maybe to push deep. But we do see that frost map there situated in the pit position again. Where it was located last time. Ultimately
Bomb located by
costing
attackers.
the attackers the round. So got to be wary of that. But with ticked off holding down this position she held so well last time, I take it back. She's been removed by Meats quite quickly as soon as I say that. The caster curse, ladies and gentlemen. But the frostmat again will prevail. Meats goes down and confirmed by Fallen from inside of Kids. A 3v3 for the last minute here.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Meeps and Ticked Off, obviously former teammates, playing, I believe it was 71st Recon. So Ticked, unfortunately losing out on that trade, but luckily has Fallen to back her up, and we'll get that with the Frostmat. Another kill being picked up by the Rens, 44 seconds into the clock. Burner in a troubled spot, as does for Sporky, has been going huge. But Lee there answers back. Sporky just continues on through the site and finds the kill to secure a 5th round for them. Back equal at 5-5. Still no escaping their opponents here in this round differential.
I said it at the start at 2-2. It is literally round for round gameplay. Someone goes up, then they go back to even, and then someone goes up, and then they go back to even. No one is catching a break here coming into the later rounds in this game. There is still so much room for one of these teams to just take off, or we're going to see OT 6-6, possibly all the way to 8-8 even, 7-7 even. It's going to be whether or not one of these teams can find the momentum they need to propel themselves into these latter rounds. We finally will see the Carly stuck, though, by Burner Bear. No Havana this time, and see what they can do
Attackers
coming
need to
into
locate
round
and
number
defuse
11
as
here.
many bombs as they can.
Well, last time we were here, it was Az with the phase play to clutch it out with that drop through the laundry hatch.
360.
Sheesh, I mean, look, the first kill was nice. It denied the defuse, and then just 360 drop through the hatch, kills Sporky as well. Completely unnecessary, but stylish as all.
Style.
All hell. It was just, yeah, it was for the points. It's for the fragtage at the end of the season. But Fallen Angels, again, they're still one round away from securing
5
themselves
seconds to
match
go.
point. They have the tools, they have the utility. They've already proven that they can play this bomb site very, very competently.
Attackers' objective is to
Can they
locate
do
a
it again,
bomb
though?
and
Ticked
defuse
off, hugely impactful in how it played out last time. Single-handedly shut down the rotate from Laundry Stairs, made it impossible with those smoke canisters. Ticked off has been playing this map phenomenally, which is, it feels rough to discount the rest of Fallen Angels because they've also shown up in a huge way. But it's just these clutch moments that Ticked Off seemingly finds herself in round after round that and comes out huge on.
I mean, she really does. She's been doing super, super well, denying so much time for Rens. I mean, the ability and the utility usage from Ticked Off alone, I think, has easily gained them possibly 3+ minutes just in time. I mean, a bit of a stretch maybe, but definitely a very good effort nonetheless. Now, Fallen is on these bullet holes, so that are very thankfully being removed next season, and will indeed find a frag off of said bullet holes. I'm glad to see them leave. I'm not going to be upset when they are removed, but Fallen still capitalizing on the current broken meta, and Angry is going to fall. Ultimately, the Thermite as well. So the only hard breacher removed, Carly isn't going to really be able to do too much because while the Lance might be great at getting the utility off the wall, it doesn't do anything to the wall. And as further adding to the damage, finds one onto Qatari, and a lot of damage dealt to Burner Bear outside in bunker. Rens, it fell apart very quickly.
If you weren't sure, Az is kind of cracked when it comes to fragging. And,
Yes.
I mean, if that wasn't evident, you obviously have to be watching the map so far. Coming into the second half of the round, Proto. Two and a bit players left here for the Rens. One of them sporting the CSRX, which is not a gun you want to be taking in, close and quarters engagements. Meeps, surprisingly playing a little bit passive for the Ash, and, well, unfortunately, at the cost of Burner Bear's life. Sporky, able to trail back one on the button, Ticked Off, gets revenge for the last round, swings out with the SMG11, takes down Meeps and leaves Sporky in the 1v4. And we've seen her do crazy stuff before, but at this stage, with as little health as she has, that's a tall task.
Well, Sporky's going to collect what she has left of herself and aim to possibly clutch out a 1v4 here, obviously with only 40 seconds left and not too much HP left in the tank. I mean, keep in mind as well, after the rehost, she's already 8-3, so she might even be double digits already, and we don't know. But Smalusi is going to give her a position away inside of Freezer. With no one playing to the right, however, of these holes, she isn't going to... No, she's going to walk straight into the frost mat, as doesn't even need to look at people and they just die in her presence.
So last time we were here, Ez gets the kill on the planter. 360 drops hatch, finds the final kill. This round, locks down pillars, and then gets the Pog mat kill to end the round and put them onto map point. Ez is kind of cracked.
It's going on Twitter. If it's not on Twitter, I'll be upset.
Oh, it will be. 100% it will be by the end of tonight. Oh, that is, like, I mean, your mental is already in a rough spot if you're Sporky in a 1v4 clutch situation. As soon as you hit the frostbat, it's in the bin. Mental is just in the bin.
Chalked, gone, retired.
Yeah, chalked mental game. What can you do to bring it back? As on the 6th pick for the Valkyrie this time as we head back up to dorms. This one has been a rough one. This bomb site hasn't quite played out, I think, the way that Fallen Angels would have liked. But, I mean, they've got one round they need to pick up here to get themselves the win on Oregon. Inside of Ren's, one round secures them OT. Either way, it's been a hell of a matchup so far. Fallen Angels really making Ren's work for this round after round.
I'm telling you right now, I think we're seeing OT purely because, based off my professional opinion, Az isn't playing Frost. So we could see OT as no 360 is going to be added.
In my professional opinion.
In my professional opinion, Frost is being played by the wrong person here. Definitely. The SpongeBob meme coming out. Unfortunate there, but as on the Valkyrie,
man's getting styled on by the Observer.
On by
we love Cthulhu. Unfortunately, his voice is a bit shot. But just because he can't talk doesn't mean he won't talk.
Guys, I'm announcing my retirement. But either
and it's
way,
not your choice.
Exactly. I've been forced into it. But either way, Fallen Angels, very good in the split here. 6-5. They need to.
What is Ez trying to do?
I think she's trying to get a white cam in the floor, I think is the play, but throwing it slightly too deep there is going to give her position away. And I think that Qatari being as close as she is, with the DMR again, might I add.
Yeah, it's going to be spotted, but it's not the worst skin.
No,
I feel obligated to run this skin, this gun, because I got the Black Ice skin a few months back. Which is, look, I know there are certain OCM players who love it. Sporky again on the hunt, finds a kill onto Butt. And yeah, even Butt knows, like, Sporky is just playing out of her mind right now. Sporky just pushes on through towards Attic and ticked off again. Playing this shield angle in pit. The SMG-11 Fiend has not given the Wrens an opportunity.
The way she holds Attic, just it's amazing to see. She's got so much ability to hold this spot. Meeps is going to find Lee though off screen on the possible entry here through the trophy door. With one still at bunks, however, though, needs to be cleared out from below. Possibly could see Qatari trying to remove this play up at the pre-fire from Az. Finds the head of Meeps. And a 3v3 ticked off slightly low HP will do a lot of damage to Angry Wolf. No frag ultimately just yet. The smoke now to cover the retreat, but some lovely kills here for FA, and Bernabear's going to be forced out of the site. Qatari still trying to clear out the bunks play here. She's going to give it another go. Bernabear walking into concrete. Will be somewhat deep in the site. Will get rid of the Malusi. Chooses to stick the control she's now gained for herself. Will spot one rotating into Kids. Joined now by Qatari at the top of white. As with another kill, not the second though. The Z ping comes out, 45 seconds, a 2v2. Fallen Angels, HP advantage.
Bernabear just tanking the toxic canister. It's such a spread attack. Fallen saying, come on, Ez, get over here. I can pick you up, but I think at this stage it's just going to come down to the gunfights. Very separated on the attack. Burn in games at the moment is going to finish off that kill on Ez. Swings in, finds the kill on it, ticked off as well. 1 versus 2, but look at that, Fallen. Full health, ready to go. Plant coming down, swing. It's going to be the kill onto Bernabet. Angry Wolf has to try and stick this. Pulls off, and Fallen clutches the round up in the 1v2, and the Fallen Angels will take their win here tonight after going down 7-5 in map 1. They hand off that treatment to the Wrens. What a defensive half.
They've stomped it. They really have. They've done super well getting these rounds on the board, going down on the split, might I add. 4-2, Wrens only managing to steal 1 round away from FA on the split. They didn't manage to quite pull as many as they'd hoped in that second half. Obviously 7-5 in favour of FA is obviously what FA wanted to see at the end of the day. Wrens, unfortunately, not too happy, I'd imagine, with the outcome, but they still played really well. I mean, FA, butt was popping off, as was popping off, ticked off was popping off. Wrens just couldn't take attic. They couldn't get the control they needed, and ultimately, they couldn't get the rounds that they required to put them on top.
I mean, already we're starting to see this incredibly competitive season starting to flesh itself out in week 1. Fallen Angels go down 7-5 on Chalet against Quack. They then come into map 2, take it 7-5 for themselves against Wrens. Skyfire take their map 7-1 on Clubhouse in their first match of the day against the Groupie Grapes. Then go down 7-3 to the same team that just beat this monster roster of Fallen Angels. So we're already starting to see some of those big names coming through, starting to see the talent developed and sort of give us where we're going to, give us the trajectory where we're going to be heading. We do have the results, though, from this night overall. We can have a look at how things played out in Proto. Some interesting results. I mean, that barely begins to describe it.
It is interesting to see the results for tonight. Obviously, Quacked 7-3ing Skyfire, who had such a dominant performance. I'll call it dominant over GG because after the Monty was bought out, there was really not too much that GG seemed to be able to do, and then Skyfire did a really good job of closing it out. But I mean, I'm interested to hear about what happened during the Quack game. What happened? Did Skyfire sort of just fall apart, or were Quack just super good on Oregon? It was an Oregon matchup, I do believe, but I mean, Quacked up, as you said, 2-0 already on the board for them, and definitely going to be one of those top 3 contenders, I'd imagine, based off what we've seen here tonight from them.
Well, that also means we have 2 teams, only the 2 teams, it would seem, that are going to be going up 2-0 in the night. Quacked one, and Viking Army the other one. Everyone else either finishing 0-2 or 1-1, which, I mean, definitely means week 2 could be that point where Quacked and Viking Army look to break away from the pack, keep themselves that security going into first place. But, I mean, I'm definitely interested to find out what happened in that Quacked versus Skyfire matchup, especially given that Skyfire played tonight with a sub. So this isn't their full-strength roster. They're playing a little bit weakened. Is it going to be the same case next week once Katz comes back from, seeing family, coming back now that she figured out what HSP means, which is everyone knows, holy smokes, Peepo. If she can get that one going, maybe Skyfire could find themselves one of the top 4 contenders, which I know as an org, that's what they're looking for. They've already had 1 podium finish so far this year within Rainbow Six in the OCL, 2nd place overall. They're looking to push further and further. But I mean, interesting results gives us an idea of what we can expect in the weeks ahead.
All of the teams tonight, I mean, I just want to say congratulations to all of them. A great start to the week. They've all played phenomenally well. Even if you went down 0-2, you guys gave it your best. And from the scores, I'd imagine everyone had fun tonight. So I've definitely had fun. And the games that we've done tonight, Panda, have been astronomical. I will say that. A very quick one to start things off, and ultimately a very interesting second map. Obviously, a little more round for round, but ultimately, FA managed to sort of squeeze away with it.
I mean, look, they have proved, if nothing else, the defensive side is one to be concerned about. They're very formidable when it comes to defense. They were able to bring it back from, 6-3 map 1, and they ultimately lost, yes, unfortunately, but they also then brought it back 4-2 on Oregon to absolutely, they dropped a single round in the second half. So definitely a team to keep an eye out. Hopefully, they can get some VOD work done, teams versing them next week. But look, Proto, that is us here on the main stream for the XP Women's League Week 1. Season 5, very much heating up. We have to thank our sponsors, though. 7G, UQU, ZQ Racing, Ubisoft, obviously, Computer Alliance, Intel, ROG, and Cooler Master for making all this possible. And obviously, XP putting in a massive effort to give these girls a platform to compete in. Proto, thank you for joining me on the mic. Well, Cthulhu is out and can't speak for himself, unfortunately, but he should be back in the coming weeks. Proto, week 2, that's where things are going to start to heat up. Who do you reckon? Do you reckon we see Quack break away from the pack, or do you think they could be taken down?
Definite ability. I think Quacked could easily sort of make their way all the way through the next week and end up in one of those top spots for the second week.
So do you reckon Quacked new Nocturnal or new Elevate?
Possibly new Elevate. Depends.
Wee.
Depends if they keep it up. 7-5 and 7-3, pretty big. But we did see some more wipe style performances. Obviously, Skyfire 7-1, a couple of 7-2s I saw there on that end screen. So round differential could come back to get them at the end, but I'd imagine there is going to be some big games next week as well.
So make sure you are here same time next week to figure out how the standings do end up going into week number 3. But for us here, week 1, we are done. We are going to sign off for the night, and we'll see you next time.
Enter into a new dimension of gaming and unlock your gaming experience. Powerful and portable, with uncompromised graphics performance. The way you play will never be the same.
Thank